All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the stream. Welcome if you are new here. Thank you guys so much for joining me today and for waiting patiently, as always, for the intro to start. The intro to finish up. Yeah, so we are talking more about Death Stranding 2 today. I want to ask the question, did Death Stranding 2 prove them wrong? What is it proving wrong? Who's them? We'll talk about it. Irfan, what's going on, man? Ice Queen Gaming. John B, Muhammad, Anthony, Tarnished. What's going on, guys? Michael, MacTube. And we have Drive By Joe with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, buddy. And he says, Death Stranding 2 looks like the most uninteresting game I've ever seen. I watched Moist Critical play it last night. Borefest. I mean, to be honest, Drive By Joe, I can see why watching Death Stranding 2 gameplay could seem incredibly boring. For example, I saw this post yesterday that went completely viral, and I think it was like meant to be somewhat of a joke, but the person said that they actually really love Death Stranding, and I think it was actually of Death Stranding 1, where Sam is carrying like way too many packages on his back than he should be, and he's walking really slow, like he's over encumbered, but he's like really close to the destination. It's like maybe like 100 feet away, and the person said it may not seem like it, something along the lines of it may not seem like it, but this is peak gameplay right here. Now I know some of you might not believe me, but this is peak gameplay, and of course it created a lot of interesting discourse, but a lot of people actually had no idea what the game was. And it's funny as somebody who's played Death Stranding, watching that clip and seeing the reactions from people, because yes, looking at that, it looks horrible. It looks like you're just slowly walking with packages on your back, and it looks really boring, and unfun. But there's so much context missing, where what I know when looking at that picture or that little 10-second clip is that you're so close to the destination. God knows what type of obstacles you've had to overcome. Half of those packages you probably found on your way to the destination, and it's going to increase your score and how much how well you do with your delivery overall. And just being that close, like what I understood when looking at that clip is that when you reach the destination, there's a true, genuine level of satisfaction that is no joke, akin to maybe defeating a boss in a game. It can actually reach that level. And, this is why Drive By Joe, I'm saying I can completely understand that if you're watching the gameplay and not experiencing it, it seems pretty unfun. Like, I get that. But there's something about the engaging nature of having to properly allocate the packages, properly having to distribute them evenly, right? Knowing what you're able to take versus when you're kind of going over the limit, knowing what tools you should bring with you. So if you encounter any major obstacles, so as not to make your life more difficult, or your journey, I should say. Stuff like this is, I think, it's integral to the overall experience that, I'll be honest, I would not want to watch somebody play Death Stranding. I definitely wouldn't. Death Stranding genuinely seems like one of the most boring games to actually watch, because it's hard to explain, but it is one of these things where you have to kind of experience it. When you are like walking up a steep hill with a load of packages, and you have the dual sense in hand, you're using the triggers to balance, you're trying to, you're pressing square to climb certain areas. I think that anybody who's played it and understands like the satisfaction of making your delivery, I think you have this inherent understanding that it's a tough sell visually, right? It's a tough sell to anybody watching, and they're like, what are you doing? You know, you're just walking with packages and climbing hills and stuff and crossing streams. But when you're actually in it and it's up to you to balance those packages, it's up to you to make sure that you're not gonna slip on a freaking rock, you know, and destroy everything. There's something about that it gets in your head and it creates a really I said last night, because Mrs. MBG wanted to play a game with me and it was getting late and I'm like, I don't know. I might want to play Death Stranding, you know, get some more time in. So we'll see. And then, you know, more time went on and I was like beat and totally exhausted. And I was like, you know what, let's just play together whatever we were gonna play because I can't play Death Stranding right now because that game requires too much concentration. No joke. Like that's a real conversation I had with Mrs. MBG because I realized that like, yeah, dude, I gotta be ready to focus, you know, to focus and to really make sure that I'm gonna be on point because if not, I'm gonna be rolling down mountainsides and stuff and ruining my ruining my experience. It'd be like someone trying to sell Kingdom Come or BG3 to you. They just don't appeal to you. Not everyone will like it. I agree. Yeah, I agree. Death Stranding 2, just like Death Stranding 1, is simply not for everybody. And I see that there's a little bit of argumentation going on in the chat. Drive by Joe, it's totally cool, man. Like, I think I think it's one of these things where if you see Death Stranding and you have this like gut feeling like I just don't think this is going to be for me, it probably isn't, truthfully. But at the same time, if you're somebody who has any level of interest, whether that be with the characters, the story, the world, the BTs, whatever it might be, you know, it might be worth checking out. I will say that with Death Stranding 2, you start the game immediately with more tools at your disposal and the ability to be more combative and to take a more aggressive approach. But yes, you are still delivering packages. At the end of the day, that is your main goal, to get the packages from point A to point B in the best possible condition you can, right? And Drive By Joe comes in and drops 5 membership gifts for you guys. He delivered the 5 memberships, bro. He's got the membership packages. Drive By Joe, thank you so much for that, man. And I see that you dropped a $20 super chat as well, saying it's called support while voicing your opinion, and you're adding Muhammad. This is chump change. Well, I appreciate that, Drive By Joe. And yeah, I mean, I know people tend to get a little bit defensive. I mean, I'm guilty of that as well. But with Death Stranding in particular, I have always been understanding from the day we saw the first gameplay demonstration at what was it, TGS 2019, right? And everybody was like, what is this game? Kojima, what did you do? I knew from that moment this is going to be a divisive game gameplay wise, and even I was a little unsure, like, oh man. So I get it. And yeah, guys, I mean, take it easy on Drive By Joe, guys. He's a good dude. He's been here for a long time. And if I'm not mistaken, Drive By Joe, he likes a lot of the different games that we talk about. Listen, man, if Drive By Joe was a dude coming in, rolling up to the stream being like, yo, this walking simulator sucks, bro. Kojima doesn't know what he's doing. He's overrated. This is a bad investment by Sony. I'd be like, bro, come on. But he's not doing that. And I appreciate that because, man, I encounter that. Believe me when I tell you, I encounter that. And that's the type of opinion that does kind of get under my skin sometimes when people kind of write things off in just it comes from a place of bad faith, you know, where it's like, I get it, man. You know, Death Stranding, it's a unorthodox game. It's got a strange gameplay loop, something that shouldn't work. Boss, chill. But let me get him out of here. Come on, man. Am I streaming the Capcom Spotlight later? I plan to, King Sam. Yeah, if everything goes according to plan and nothing pops up, we should be good. Now, I don't know if I'm going to be streaming the entire time. Like, I think for me, it's 6 hours from now. I don't plan on streaming for 6 hours straight. What will probably happen is we'll do a regular stream like we are right now. and then I'll come back later on with a second one. But yeah, Drive By Joe, I appreciate the support, man, and I appreciate you. I appreciate the different opinions. I do. I do think that what we're going to talk about today, the idea of Death Stranding proving them wrong. I know that's like a loaded title and whatnot, but it's not really as aggressive as it sounds. It's just it's simply me kind of analyzing the differences between Death Stranding 2 and 1 and kind of trying to gauge whether or not Death Stranding 2 is ultimately going to have more appeal and bring more people to the game, compared to the first one. Did Kojima prove everybody wrong? We have Digital Dude 25 with a $5 super chat. And he says, so many people thought Astrobot wasn't going to win Game of the Year 2024. Love seeing the reactions and how many people doubted it. Love it. It brings me joy. I love it too, man. I mean, I have to admit, though, even I was somebody who wasn't sure that Astrobot was going to be able to do it. I wasn't sure. I was like, man, I know that this is an incredible game and obviously a highlight of the year, but can it really take Game of the Year? Like, can it really do that? Leninator, just so you know, I'm reading the super chats a little bit out of order. So no worries, man. You're up next. I didn't miss it. You're good. But Digital Dude, yeah, I mean, look, a game-winning Game of the Year it's not the end-all be-all, at least not for most people, but it does mean something. It does hold weight. And it's true that with a game like Astrobot, it seemed like quite a few people were willing to downplay its viability as a Game of the Year contender, like a genuine Game of the Year contender, because it's not, it's not the like photorealistic, big AAA tentpole open world, cinematic game from Sony or another studio. It's Astrobot. And again, I have to admit that even I had some level of doubt there, man, where I'm like, can can Team Asobi really pull this off? And I was super happy to see that they did, because, the thing that's special to me about Astrobot, truthfully, is it's not even that it's like a PS5 exclusive or whatever, like a Sony game. It's all great, right? And obviously I love to see PlayStation Studios succeed. I love to see them find new success in a different area with a game like Astrobot. But it was a game that I know it sounds silly, man, but it like brought my family closer together. Where like, obviously I was talking about it, covering it on the channel here and planning on buying it and playing it. But then, you know, my son's interested in it and he wants to play it. And I'm like, oh, okay. And he sees the Astrobot controller and he's like freaking out about it and he wants that. He sees an Astrobot plushie and then the game comes out, he's playing it and he's addicted to it. He's obsessed with it and he gets super stoked every time he finds a new bot. And he doesn't know what like most of these bots are, like what games they're supposed to be. And I'm telling him about them and I'm showing him the games. And it's been a really, really, frankly, I mean, a wholesome kind of experience with Astrobot. And, it's just PlayStation kind of playing a role in my gaming life, I guess you could say, in a very different way than they had previously. So, love to see it, Digital Dude. And the Leninator FFC, a member for 23 months, says, "What's up, bro? Been playing Death Stranding 2. It's a stunning game. Feed the boss." Well, guys, we are at 5 memberships, thanks to Drive By Joe dropping 5 on you guys. If you want to keep it going, we'll see if we can hit that 25 mark. If we do, we will feed the boss, who is lounging right now. And Leninator, I'm happy to hear that, man. Yeah, I've been waiting for Death Stranding 2, and like I said yesterday, and will continue to say probably for as long as I play it, it is living up to my high expectations. I had high expectations for it, and I mean, I don't want to like oversell it, but it's already in the process of surpassing my expectations, and just the fact that, like I said, it's got its hooks in me much quicker than I expected. I thought, it's going to take me some time to really ease into it and get used to this type of gameplay experience again and get, refamiliarize myself with the world of Death Stranding. But actually, no, it felt like it was like riding a bike, which was unexpected to me. I just picked the game up and they're throwing me in there, and I'm like, here we go, dude. I don't know. It's clicking. It's already clicking. What did Kojima do to me, man? But we also, oh, hold on. Let me refresh this because it's crashing. There we go. Okay. We also have Michael Lynch with a $10 super chat. Thank you for that, Michael. And he says, I don't know that this applies to Joe, but also for a lot of today's society who has let the TikTok kill their patience and attention span. This game is not for them. It definitely requires patience. I can agree with that. I I don't know that what I've learned in playing Death Stranding 1 and then also putting some time into Death Stranding 2 is that it is a game that certainly requires patience. In fact, it's a game that will test your patience at certain points. I did talk about this yesterday, but for anybody who didn't catch yesterday's stream, there was this it was like the second or third delivery I was doing where it was supposed to be really easy, no problem, but I ended up picking up a bunch of extra cargo that I came across along the way, and I also like lost all of my stamina. And so even though I was not that far away from my destination, it felt so close. It ended up being a really tumultuous gameplay experience in the sense, not in a bad way, but just in the sense that like, okay, this has become a test now where I can just drop some of this cargo, but I don't want to do that. I want to take it with me. I want to make sure I secure it, to get a better delivery score, to get more points, right? But my stamina's gone. I could stop and rest, but I'm impatient. And that's where you realize it begins to test your patience, where it's like, all right, well, let me just push this and see. Let me just see if I can make it. Let me walk all the way down this river, as far as I got to go, further away from the destination. I got a ladder on me, and I just got to find that perfect spot to drop that ladder. And it took way longer than I thought it would, but I found it. And when I did, it was a relief. I'm like, yes, drop the ladder, cross over, and then it's just a straightaway to my destination. And if you deplete all of Sam's stamina and you get to you get to your destination, if you stand there for more than a couple seconds, he will literally drop to his knees and like fall to the floor, like he's just so exhausted, he's about to pass out right then and there. And he'll start talking to you, like kind of breaking the fourth wall a little bit, where if you're trying to push yourself with not enough stamina, he'll kind of like make comments that he's got to stop and he's got to take a break, he's got to hydrate, he's got to rest. And it's definitely one of these things where the game will punish you if you are not patient. And it is a different gameplay experience in that sense that if you think about what Kojima has made previously with like the Metal Gear Solid games being mostly stealth does require a certain level of patience. But the punishment that is inflicted in those stealth scenarios is more overt and I would say more conventional in the sense that, oh, you're discovered and now you might die and it's game over. With Death Stranding, it's more subtle in that like it's like what I just described. If you try to rush, your stamina is going to deplete too quickly. If your stamina depletes too quickly, you might run out of stamina before you reach your destination, in which case you're going to have to take a break and rest up a little bit, which will ultimately make your mission longer, right? If you are not carefully planning out your route, you may literally run into an obstacle that you are not equipped to overcome. And then before you know it, you got to walk all the way around. And those are punishments and they sound pretty terrible, but it's actually interesting in the sense that, at least for me, the few times that I've actually had to deviate from the path that I set for myself, I found that I was discovering different things. And actually, one of those things is just more cargo. But yeah, I haven't reached the point yet where I'm using like trucks or any like major delivery systems or vehicles or tools that have made it substantially easier. I'm still very early in the game, but yeah, man, it's such a unique experience. It really is, and it is a game that will test your patience. But again, one of the things that I've immediately found to be very different and enjoyable is, even though I was taking my good old time with my deliveries, I encountered two encampments. One of them was not optional, the other was optional. And at first I was like, all right, I'm going to take it slow. But then I was like, you know what, bro? You have an assault rifle and you got a lot of ammo for that assault rifle. Just go crazy. Just take them out. Go ham. And that's what I did. And it was very satisfying. So, yeah. Michael, thank you for the super chat, man. We also have Isley with a $5 super chat saying, hi, Mr. BG. What's the first game you remember playing, and do you think it shaped your taste in games in some way? I mean, I don't know that I can recall the actual very first video game I ever played. I wish I could. It doesn't seem possible. I don't, I mean, I have like this memory, but it's so far back. I don't know what year it was. I don't know if it was before or after the N64 came out. I can't remember when exactly it was, but I have this memory of being over at the time. I was really young. I was over a friend's house, and I think he had a SNES, and he had a Star Wars game on it. And I remember he was like obsessed with playing it. But I'm pretty sure that, well, I'm not pretty sure, but that could have been my first ever video game encounter. Because the one thing I do remember is I wasn't really interested in playing it. Like, he was like showing it to me, and that's all he wanted to do was play that game. And I'm like, let's go play toys or something. I don't want to play this. I don't know why. It just, maybe I was just that young where it's like video games did not actually appeal to me at that point. But this kid that I was over his house or whatever, he did enjoy video games. But when it comes to like video games that I can recall playing that had an impact on me, believe it or not, I think it's Super Smash Bros. Um, I remember my cousin came over with an N64 and he brought over Super Smash Bros. And he was like, check this game out. And we were playing it. And I was like, I don't know, I was just mesmerized by it. I'm like, this is insane. Like, this is incredible. And from that moment forward, I was like begging my parents for an N64. And so, yeah, I mean, unsurprisingly, I did, it was like a Nintendo game. That was the first game that really kind of hooked me. And really introduced me to video games in a way that felt meaningful to me. I'm pretty sure I encountered an NES or an SNES like really early on in my life, but at that time I didn't know what I was looking at. I didn't really care. I think it was the N64 where I was really like, here we go. This is, I want to do this. I want to do more of this. Whatever this is, I want to do more of it. And from the N64, that's when I progressed to the PlayStation 1. And I wish I had more distinct memories with the PlayStation 1. Like, I have some weird memories with the PlayStation 1. I mean, obviously you got like Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, but I remember like going over another kid's house where he had a PS1 and we were playing this fighting Jurassic Park game where you picked a dinosaur and they would fight each other. It was like the weirdest. And there was also this like sports game just called like Extreme Sports or whatever. It was like you could do biking and skateboarding and it was just not very good. But it's like all we had. I'm like, okay, I guess this is fine. But then I had amazing experiences like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1, and Spider-Man on PS1, one of the absolute best games of all time. Can we talk about that? Can we talk about how great Spider-Man, the Activision published I think it was Neversoft developed as well. Spider-Man 1, bro. That's like a core PlayStation 1 memory for me. Also, the first Medal of Honor. Really sucked at it, but that was another one. That was like my first introduction to, I think, trying to like play an FPS. So there you go, Isley. I hope that's a satisfactory answer. Oh, Tekken 3. Yeah, Tekken 1 and 2 I played a little bit of, but Tekken 3 was the one that got me hooked. Yeah, it's sometimes these games kind of, I forget about them, because it's been so long. I'm like, wait, what games did I actually play on the PS1? I'm like, yeah, Tekken 3 was a huge one. That was a huge one. We have Delwyn Jones with another generous super chat. Thank you so much for that, buddy. And he says, Death Stranding 2 looks tremendous, and the Decima engine is really something special. Never doubt Kojima. The guy just gets it. He knows what he's been cooking since they've been developing the game since 2019. Can't wait to get my hands on my physical copy tomorrow. Well, I'm happy to hear you're getting a physical copy, Delwyn. I've been seeing a lot of people showing off their physical copies and talking about, just how important it is for them to continue to support physical media, which I'm in full agreement. We have to do our part. We have to do our best. I'm still waiting for mine to come. It's actually a little bit delayed, unfortunately, but they're going insane tarnished. Oh wow. It kind of makes me glad I decided to pass on that game because that does not sound fun, bro. That sounds like a literal nightmare. Um, but Delwyn, yeah, bro, I think you're gonna really, really, really thoroughly enjoy Death Stranding 2. I am of the mindset that if you played Death Stranding 1 and you got any enjoyment out of it, I think you're going to love Death Stranding 2. So like if you like Death Stranding 1, you're gonna love Death Stranding 2. If you love Death Stranding 1, you're gonna be experiencing some type of gaming bliss with Death Stranding 2. Because you're absolutely correct, Delwyn. Kojima knows what he's doing, and I'm not trying to be like that person that props Kojima up too high and puts him on a pedestal necessarily, but there's a reason why he's considered like a legendary video game developer. I mean, you know, Metal Gear Solid means everything to me, but I have to say that I was kind of nervous, like, Kojima walking away from Metal Gear Solid, not willingly, of course, but getting pushed out of Konami when he was developing Death Stranding and we were seeing it. I was very excited for it, but I did have this feeling deep down, like, what if he kind of lost it? And to be fair, some people do feel like Kojima did lose it, like he's not, you know, like he's not like he peaked with Metal Gear Solid, and I think there's arguments to be made there. But I was just kind of nervous that, like, what if Death Stranding just doesn't hit the mark at all? And when I saw that first gameplay that I referenced, the TGS 2019, I definitely was nervous. I was like, oh, this is not Metal Gear at all. I don't know what this is. This is totally different. But you know, Kojima earned the benefit of the doubt big time with me. So I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna hold out. I'm gonna I'm gonna assume the best with this game. And I'm glad I did, because even though it was a slow burn for me with Death Stranding 1, it ended up being one of the most satisfying games I ever played. And that, like, by the time I got the platinum, I'm like, holy shit. Like, if you had told me that Kojima's going to make a game where the main core gameplay loop is you're going to be delivering packages, I would have said that sounds like a joke, and I don't think I would enjoy that. Um, but if you had told me that, no, it's going to end up being one of your favorite games ever, like, you're going to thoroughly enjoy it, dude. It's going to be like a game of the year contender for you. I still wouldn't believe you. And that's why I say, like, it's just one of these things where I had to experience it and I had to go through it. And dude, I can't wait to progress in Death Stranding 2. I'm so curious to see what awaits, because I can tell, like, there's going to be some. I didn't even watch the new trailer that came out today. I didn't even watch it. I'm about 6 hours into it, 6, 7 or so hours. Um, I feel like I've made pretty good progress so far, but I can tell that, like, I think I basically just finished kind of like the introductory area, where now things are going to start opening up a lot more. And, um, I feel like I have my bearings, but thinking back on all of the different things I was doing towards the end game of Death Stranding 1, I still realize, like, still got a ways to go, you know? Um, yeah, I think I may have just entered chapter 2, I believe, or I'm about to. Um, I want to read what MacTube said. He said, "Did you ever play Death Stranding Director's Cut with the new levels and story? Did you get a recap of the first game?" I did not play the Director's Cut. I probably should have. I think when it was coming out, I was playing something else at the time, and I kept telling myself I'll get around to it. And like most other games, that I say I'm going to get around to, it ended up just passing me by. Um, but I have to say that I did watch the recap, the story recap. It's it's really it's not long. It's like 5 minutes or so, maybe 10 minutes, where it's actually well, I don't want to say anything. I'm not going to spoil anything, but yeah, they recap the first game, um and I did a great job in that. Like, yeah, I felt like, even though I forgot some stuff, It told me what I needed to know, and I felt confident going into it. We have Delwyn Jones with another generous super chat. Delwyn, thank you so much for that, buddy. He says Kojima is a visionary. His visionary story in return, or sorry, let me try this again. Kojima visionary story return in Death Stranding 2, already a Game of the Year contender, and Sucker Punch Productions open world Ghost IP will make its highly anticipated comeback. Us PlayStation fans are about to experience a powerful 1-2 punch of exclusive greatness. Exclusive greatness, Delwyn? A 1-2 punch of exclusive greatness, bro. I love it. I love it. You're not wrong, Delwyn. You're absolutely not wrong, dude. I know that yesterday, for anybody who tuned into the stream, I was a little bit unhinged. And we are going to be talking more about Xbox over the course of this stream. I'm mentioning this because I failed to actually let you guys know we have other game updates that we're going to be covering. But one of the more concerning rumors we are going to be covering later on is it seems like there are some reports circulating that Xbox studio closures may be occurring very soon. And oh man, it sounds like it's about to get real, real sad. But I know I was a little bit unhinged yesterday, but Delwyn, I'm in agreement that I've I've been saying for a long time that if you're somebody who bought a PlayStation 5, it doesn't matter why you bought it, whether it was for one game, whether it was for a bunch of games, even if it's just to play more casually, or even if it is hardcore, it doesn't matter. You have so many games at your disposal. Like, you have more games at your fingertips than ever before, dude. And even where we are now, not just third party games, Sony titles, right? And the thing with these Sony titles, like you're mentioning, like Death Stranding 2 and Ghost of Yotei, I'm not trying to overhype them, but it's like, yeah, these games are genuinely both going to be, at minimum, very, very good games, but likely Game of the Year contenders. And I know that it's like, well, those are only two games, and it's like, only two games, dude. If they're some of the best games I ever experienced, period, I'm fine with only two games, because that's something that is way more valuable to me than if Sony pumped out 8 games, but they were just good or okay. I would rather have 2 games from Sony that are like, you're not going to forget about these games. These are going to be games you think about even going into next generation. When you think about the games you played this entire generation, right, that are standout to you, these 2 games are going to be at the forefront of your mind. Yeah, I will take that over, Sony pumping out 7 to 9 games in a year that none of them really truly stand out to me. And I will always stand by that. It is the quality over quantity mentality. But that's the beauty of it, is that that's just talking about Sony developed games. If you're on PS5, you can look forward to those 2 games, but you can look forward to all the third parties. And now you have Microsoft supporting the PS5, and it's just, I don't think there's ever been a better time, for as cliche as it may sound, to play on PlayStation. I mean, that's not a slight at other places to play. I think it's fine. You could play wherever you want. Steam has a ton of games as well, if not even more in some cases. But I just, yeah, I think it just, what you're saying here, Delwyn, and what we're doing by talking about Death Stranding and anticipating Ghost of Yotei, I think it just goes to show that a lot of the rhetoric, not all of it, but a lot of it is kind of nonsensical, and that people try to make it sound like, come on, boss. Oh, wow. Wow. I'm sorry you guys had to see that. A lot of the rhetoric, boss's butthole just straight up in the camera. I apologize. I try to make sure that doesn't happen, but I can't fully contain the beast sometimes, and he's just got to apparently flash the camera. I'm embarrassed for boss. Whatever, Delwyn, whatever I was trying to say, bro, I don't even know. Boss just ended it. I'm sorry. I feel a little bit rusty with the controls, but I'm actually picking it up a lot quicker than I expected. YouTube AI about to go crazy on my channel. Digital Dude 25 with a $5 super chat. Sorry to keep you waiting, buddy. He says, MBG, go to your latest X post and see the video I put. Turn the volume up so you can see how loud the firework is. Digital Dude, this sounds like a setup. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. I don't know if I trust this, Digital Dude. This sounds like a major setup, bro. Should I actually do it? If I tell boss to sit, will he sit? No. Does he look like he's gonna listen to me? Boss, chill. Oh, guys, listen, we're sitting at five members. All right. We got to push. We got to push to try to get to this 25 cuz boss is he's he's very impatient today. He's desperate and impatient. So, all right, Digital Dude, because you're such a good supporter of the channel, I will reluctantly um go check. Let's see. Digital Dude, is that you? Is that you actually just popping off fireworks, bro? Is that what you're having me look at right now? Why did I think it was something Death Stranding related? Well, let me come back here. It is your video. You recorded it. No, dude, that was pretty crazy. It's funny because when I see a video like that, I'm always assuming something's going to go horribly wrong. Because anytime I see videos like that pop up on my feed on Twitter, anyway, it's usually because it's like f around, find out type stuff. So I'm glad you're behind the camera. Okay, well I'm glad it worked out. Yeah, I don't really mess around with fireworks, bro. But yes, that was very loud. For a second, I actually thought there was something wrong with the audio on the video. Like I didn't hear anything, and then it just popped. So good stuff, man. Celebrating Death Stranding 2, I see. Bro's popping off fireworks for it. I can see you like to get into some trouble. Shenanigans, bro. You take a lot of screenshots in it. You don't usually do that with games. I have found myself taking a couple of screenshots with Death Stranding 2, yeah. And I am somebody who definitely does not use photo mode, but it's hard not to with this game, man. You know, when you're trekking on certain landscape and you just, you finally get up to the top of the mountain and the vista, it's just like, okay, hold on, pause. I'm gonna have to take a screenshot. And then especially when you finally like reach or get close to reaching your destination and a song just starts playing and then the camera pans out and man, it just looks incredible. Yeah, I mean, I know again we talked about this yesterday, but Death Stranding 2 is truly an incredible looking game. It really is. Um Johnny Gaming, you're saying you're not too far in, just fought the first big BT, but it's a great game so far. It sounds like you're further than I am, actually. No, so I'm not going to finish it this weekend. I'm taking my time with this game. Yeah, this is one of those games where I mean, I'm going to keep playing it obviously, probably every day, but I'm not necessarily in any kind of rush to complete it. I am a little bit nervous about spoilers and whatnot, but I'm just going to enjoy the ride and savor it because I don't want to you know, this might be the last Death Stranding game we get. I don't know if we're going to get a third one or whatever. I think Kojima said he's not going to make a third one. Maybe somebody else can. Maybe Sony can if they want. But if this is the last Death Stranding game and it kind of wraps everything up, I want to take my time with it, Reach the top of the mountain and boss's butt spoils the selfie. Yeah, pretty much. Metal Gear Revengeance was a great game, dude. Yeah. Or Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. A lot of people wanted another Metal Gear Rising. Maybe Konami will do something about that in the future. History says that Kojima is not an honest person. I actually do believe him that he's not going to make a Death Stranding 3, though. Mainly because he's moving on to Fizzant now. And he's still working on, I assume he's still working on OD, and he wants to make a movie. So it's like, yeah, he's very busy. I'm sure he's happy to be done with Death Stranding 2. Not to say that he like wanted to rush it or anything, but just because he's got so many other things that he's juggling so many different things. Death Stranding 3 after Fizzant? Maybe? I'm really curious to see what Fizzant ends up being. Super stoked for that. You think Fizzant will have a female lead? I mean, if I had to guess, just knowing Kojima, he's going to get another actor, and I think it'll be a male. But I think he'll have famous female actresses as well. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's Robert Pattinson that's going to be the lead of Fizzant, because he met him recently and was talking to him, and he was saying that they were discussing things, but he can't say what. And I'm like, interesting timing. Interesting timing. Maybe Keanu. I could absolutely see Kojima wanting to get Keanu Reeves in a game. I could see him trying to get him in Fizzant. Absolutely. Yeah. I think I don't know if he's like friends with Keanu, but I know Keanu Reeves paid a visit to Kojima Productions and they know each other. I mean, they were both in Cyberpunk, so do I think Kojima's going to retire after Fizzant? No, I don't think he's going to retire. I think he's going to make a movie or multiple movies. And whether or not he will want to come back to video games after that will be unknown because he'll be pretty old by that point. I mean, by that point, he's probably going to be in his 70s. So, I mean, honestly, I could see Kojima being the type of person that he's like 89 years old or something. And he's like, I got one more in me. I want to make one more big game with Sony or something, Chill, boss. Chill. It's not time. It's not time, bud. Come on. Come on. Relax. Relax. All right. I think Kojima's like 60 years old now or 61. So he's not like super old, but he's getting up there. He's 61. Okay. You're saying Death Stranding 2 reviews made me want to get into the series. Well, to try to answer the question, did Death Stranding prove them wrong? Well, what I really mean by this is I think there are certain people out there who would be considered haters and people who just, they think that Kojima is either washed up or that Death Stranding or the games that Kojima has made are overrated. And I kind of get this feeling that in a sense, Death Stranding 2 did prove some people wrong. I think it came out and the expectation was, oh, here we go, this again, right? From some people. Obviously, it always had supporters. It always had a level of enthusiasm. But I think that it's safe to say that because Kojima decided to go with such an unconventional gameplay design, that it was just naturally going to have some friction. And I think the real question with Death Stranding 2 is like, is Death Stranding 2 and is Kojima Productions going to be able to kind of rise to the occasion to create a game that can still maintain the core concept of what Death Stranding is supposed to be, gameplay design wise, it being a delivery game, but take in the feedback and implement enough improvements and refinements that make it so that, yeah, this is actually a game with not many flaws, not many faults, not perfect. Obviously, I'm assuming there will still be flaws, but no video game is perfect. But I think the answer, obviously, if we look at the Metacritic score, I think the answer is yes. But now that I've gotten some time with it and I've been seeing the reactions from other people and I've been encountering way more people this time, I noticed this is a big difference between the first and second game. Maybe it's just anecdotal, but I feel like I'm encountering way more people that are like coming out and being like, "Yeah, I didn't have interest in the first one, but I'm gonna be checking this out. I'm gonna be giving it a shot. I'm interested in the sequel." And you know, m- I'm sure marketing plays a role in this, but I think it's just because, yeah, man, like this is the result of Kojima having less pressure in the sense that like he has more time, his team has had more time, and the foundation of what Death Stranding was already established. The hardest part was done. I think sometimes people forget that Death Stranding was made in like 3.5, maybe 4 years, you know? And that's kind of crazy because it's just like, wow. Kojima's out on his own. He has to start up a studio. He's partnered with Sony. He has resources, obviously. He utilizes those resources, and within 3.5 to 4 years, like boom, the game's out. And so I think it's kind of insane how good Death Stranding turned out to be. All things considered. And so that's why I think Death Stranding 2 is always going to be, I think, such a significant improvement because it's like, when he has the foundation to work with and he has the extra time, what else can be done here? Yeah, and that's another thing as well. Um, Kojima Productions spent years building the Fox engine for Konami, and building an engine from scratch is no easy task. It takes a long time and a lot of resource and a lot of skill. They built the Fox engine, which was an amazing engine. Boss, hold on. I'll just give him a little appetizer. A little appetizer. Just a little something to hold you over. Because he won't stop. Yeah, and so his team had to create Death Stranding under strenuous circumstances, honestly, and using a brand new engine, the Decim engine. Um, Tremendous support from Sony, from Guerrilla Games, obviously. It's just awesome. It's been an awesome journey, and I'm just really truly happy to see that it's getting. It feels like Death Stranding, like we talked about, is getting the recognition that I felt like it always kind of deserved, and that I knew when we first saw that gameplay back in 2019 that, mm, you know, I think we're going to lose a lot of people. But it's been a long time. There's been a lot of improvements made. I'm just happy for the game, man. I'm happy for the game. I'm happy for us, those of us who are waiting for it. Come on, boss, get down. You're going to knock it over. Kojima has always said that he likes his games to be divisive. I know, and that's kind of the great irony here, right? The great irony is that Kojima did straight up go on record prior to Death Stranding 2 coming out saying that, yeah, man, I was not satisfied because people liked it too much. So I had to make some changes. Like, I just love the idea that Kojima's like secretly seething and very upset that his game is sitting at a 90 on Metacritic and will be in the running for Game of the Year and everybody loves it. I mean, I can understand from a creative standpoint why he would feel that way, why any creative would feel that way, especially if you're trying to really, create something that's going to, that people are going to kind of chew on for a while. But as a fan, I got to say, I'm very, very happy to see it. Very happy to see it. You think if it wasn't for Sony helping out Kojima, there would be no Death Stranding game? Excuse me. I mean, one of the things that we shouldn't lose sight of, and I try to bring this up when we talk about, like we talked about yesterday, giving Sony a little bit of credit where it's due. Sony does deserve the credit in the sense that Hideo Kojima did go on record in the past saying that a lot of people reached out to him. A lot of gaming publishers reached out to him. And it's clear that the world was his oyster in the sense that he could have worked with anybody, but he purposely chose to work with Sony because of the way that they treat their developers and the freedom that they give them. And Sony promised Kojima, you have complete creative freedom. We are not going to get in the way. We will give you the funding. We will give you the resource. We will give you the support. We're going to let you make what you want. And you got to give Sony credit for, like, dude, considering his grand idea was, I'm going to make a package delivery game. You got to admit that, man, it takes it takes a big risk, a lot of confidence and a big risk to be willing to let that kind of happen. And so, yeah, man, it all seemingly worked out well, worked out as good as it could have, I would say. And I think it's clear that it worked out so good that Sony already has another partnership, spooled up with Kojima Productions. And I just think that's awesome. Like, this is kind of the best thing that I could have hoped for as not only a fan of Hideo Kojima's work, but a PlayStation fan. It's like, this is awesome. Nick, what are you talking about? Who waved the white flag? I see some of you guys talking about Metal Gear Solid 4. I mean, Metal Gear Solid 4, it's messy because Kojima was like, I'm going to answer every single question. And it's like, bro, you're going to try to answer every question in the Metal Gear universe? Oh, man. And I loved it. I loved every moment of it. It's been a long time since I've completed Metal Gear Solid 4, and I'm assuming we're going to be getting MGS4 in the Metal Gear Solid Collection Volume 2 whenever that comes out in the coming years. And I'm obviously going to replay that game, and it's going to be glorious. I'm just really curious to see if it holds up as well, like in my mind. Like in my mind, I have a certain view of MGS4 from the time I played it. I played it more than once, but it's been a long time since I played it. And yeah, I can't wait to replay that as well. Nick, you're saying my bad. I clicked the wrong stream. I was on another and the app crashed on me. Oh, damn. Okay. It's all good, bro. Well, I'm glad you made your way here. Yeah, we talked about that yesterday, Radic. People who looked into that, it turns out that the company, that company was purchased by Nintendo in 2022. And so that was during the development of Death Stranding 2. So the name of the company changed to Nintendo, like a Nintendo-based company, mid-development. So I'm just pointing this out because I think that some people have this idea that now Sony's going to, like, Sony's working with Nintendo now on their games, and it's like I don't think that's the case. It would be cool. I think a lot of people would be interested in something like that, but I think that people see the headline, right, and that's what it seems like. But it's like when you do a little bit of digging, it's like, no, that this company was purchased by Nintendo mid-development, and they had to fulfill their contractual obligation of finishing their work on this game. And so in the credits, yeah, when the credits roll, obviously they're going to use the updated name of the company. But it is interesting to see that. Yeah, definitely something that caught people off guard and was unexpected. Like, wait, what? What's Nintendo got to do with any of this? You got the Metal Gear Solid Legacy Saga mint condition. Nice, bro. Nice. I forgot to put a poll up, by the way. I'm gonna put it up now. You guys can vote on this. I'm asking you guys, are you playing Death Stranding 2 on the beach? Yes, no, maybe later on. Tarnish, you're saying MBG Death Stranding 2 haters are silent because the game scores much higher on Metacritic and is being met with very high praise from almost everybody. Kojima is very audacious for sticking to his game design philosophy. It's well put, Tarnished. Yeah. I mean, I remember, man. I remember back in 2019, I was making videos on Death Stranding, and I was covering it, I think, more than like 90% of people. No, probably more than 99% of people. I was really covering this game. And, you know, I was trying not to get too defensive about it, but I definitely saw the hate. You know, I saw the hate, and that's fine. I think, again, Kojima likes that. He welcomes that because that means his game is divisive. But there were just some individuals, and frankly, there still are, where it's just they are making it sound like this game is worthless or whatever. And it's like, bro, you could call it uninteresting. You could call it boring. Like, Aaron, I can only assume you're joking because that's exactly what I'm talking about, bro. You remember when Norman saw one of my videos? I remember that too, yeah. I think that was a video where it a review for Death Stranding leaked out, and it was giving it like really high praise. And I think Norman Reedus, he posted my video, like a screen cap of the video on his Instagram, I think, which was really cool to see. I was like, damn, Norman saw, Sam watched my Death Stranding video. That was pretty sick. We have Perfect Image with a direct donation. Thank you for that, buddy. He says, MBG for yesterday, getting gangsta was awesome. VGT on X said PlayStation's going to die in a few years, and if anyone wants Death Stranding 1 Director's Cut, it's on Extra. Xbox is firing people. Did they announce that yet? We're going to talk about that. Yeah, we got some really bad news for Xbox. It's really unfortunate news that we're going to be going over because it seems like it's happening imminently. Okay, there's another report. Yeah, we'll cover that soon. That'll be the next topic in line. But yeah, Perfect Image. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate the support. Thank you for the direct donations and for viewing the streams. You know, I appreciate it all, man. Yeah, I saw that, Tarnished. Death Stranding 2's instantaneous load times. Yeah, man. Death Stranding 2 clearly takes full advantage of everything the PS5 offers. It takes advantage of the speed, you know, it takes advantage of the DualSense, takes advantage of just the horsepower, especially on the Pro. My God, man. Like, listen, I'm trying really, really hard not to get baited by obvious bait. But did you guys see the PC Gamer review of Death Stranding 2, where the headline of the review said, "It's been so long since I played a console game at 30 FPS. It took me a week to realize Death Stranding 2 is giving me headaches." And that's just such a frustrating thing to see, where it's like, okay, well, we know you're doing this for clicks. This is bait. But how can it be allowed to be this stupid? We're like, what are you talking about? There is a 60 FPS mode, performance mode, on the base PS5 and the PS5 Pro. And specifically on the PS5 Pro, It looks amazing. So I got to be honest, and I'm not trying to be rude when I say this. I'm not trying to be gangsta, as some people put it, but it's like, are you an idiot? I would hope not. I would hope it's just admit you're being, it's just bait. It's bait. You know there's a performance mode. I know there's a performance mode. We both know it looks great on the PS5 and the Pro. I mean, it comes off as a little bit salty. Like PC gamers a little bit salty that the game's not on PC. But come on, it's like it's gonna come to PC. We know that. Everybody knows that. And then you talk about how much your PC is not giving you a headache. All right. Yeah, I mean, also the idea of 30 FPS giving you an actual headache. I mean, come on, bro. Come on. Well, maybe that's what they were trying to say. If I'm giving them, if I'm trying to have some good faith here, maybe they were trying to say that when you start up Death Stranding 2, when you start it up, it's in fidelity mode at 30. But still, PC gamers are perfectly acclimated to messing with settings and toggling settings. That's the first thing they would do on a console, right? To see if there's a performance mode. 60 FPS on the PC is scrub level, to be fair. Gaming Survivor, what's up, man? Yeah, I saw that picture. Wow. I don't know if you read my comment. I was like, bro, the Omen 86 is going to frame that picture. That's the next one that's going up on his wall. Braddock, you're saying, by the way, Death Stranding 2 looks spectacular on my new TV. Oh, yeah, I believe it. I absolutely believe it. Mm-hmm. Like who you're saying, Death Stranding 2 instant loading is amazing. It's very nice, man. It's very nice. I mean, it's interesting because when I think back to playing Death Stranding 1, I think I tend to forget that, like, yeah, you were playing that on the PS4 Pro at 30 frames per second with longer loading times on a DualShock 4 and all these things that I've just grown so accustomed to having and just expect to be there with the PS5 and the PS5 Pro. Um, I think they're kind of adding up, they're coming together and it's adding up to make it just an overall an enjoyable package delivering experience. Well, we will continue. Yeah, we will certainly continue to talk about Death Stranding because it's a game I'm going to be playing for quite some time. It's a game that I'm going to be trying to get the platinum for, and it's a game that I'm assuming is going to make me feel some things along the way. So we will continue. I'm not going to talk about it every single podcast episode. I do too many, so I it would be overly redundant to talk about it literally every day. But probably going to be multiple days a week that I bring it up. What happened in Days Gone? I'm still playing that too, Irfan. Yeah, um, I'm still playing Days Gone remastered. I am cleaning up the trophies. I still have quite a bit to do. Like I got the platinum for it, but I have all the extra trophies. So I'm gonna have to try to balance playing that while playing Death Stranding 2. I should be able to do that no problem. Um, but Death Stranding 2 is probably gonna get more attention, so it might take some time before I get all the trophies in in Days Gone. Kojima Production should compete with UPS and FedEx now. Yeah, man. A Bloodborne remaster is needed next gen. Yes. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Bloodborne remake launch PlayStation 6 exclusive. Demon Souls for the PS5, Bloodborne for the PS6. Don't forget to have fun. That's the whole purpose of gaming. Well, let's move on to another topic here. And this is some. I'm gonna just. I'm gonna be blunt. It's not looking good for Xbox. All right. Um, I know that there's always the prospect of console warring and whatnot, but we're talking about layoffs and we're talking about potential studio closures. It sounds like there's going to be a bloodbath of some sort with Xbox very soon. So we have a report here from The Verge saying it sure looks like the next Xbox is going to be different as Microsoft competes more with Steam. Oh wait, this is I can't actually read this. This is paywalled. Charlie, Intel is reporting from the source Tom Warren, his notepad from The Verge, that Xbox will reportedly see significant layoffs next week, per reporting from The Verge. This is the second report we're getting that talks about mass Xbox layoffs happening next week. But it goes on to say that some employees are actually fearful that entire studios might be shuttered. The Verge reports Turn 10 Studios, the team behind Forza Motorsport, is bracing for severe layoffs. Bro, that's crazy. The Forza team, the Forza Motorsport team is, yeah, I know, like Turn 10. Now that's not confirmation that they will experience massive layoffs, but the fact that that's a studio that's bracing for it is, I mean, you would think that that has to be one of the safest studios underneath Microsoft. So, nothing has officially happened yet, but this comes off of another rumor. Like, it really sounds like something's bubbling, man. Oh God. Okay, hold on. It's really starting to circulate. There's actually another report here from 21 minutes ago from Andy Robinson of VGC. He says, I can't confirm any specific details, and I imagine that very few would be able to do so, but there's certainly a lot of negative chatter coming out of the UK Xbox studios today. For the sake of employees, I hope details are confirmed swiftly, but I expect that this will drag out into next week. This could include Rare, Ninja Theory, Playground Games, as well as support studios for Mojang and Activision. Oh, man. We have Jake Skew28 with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Jake. And he says the porters in Death Stranding are based on a real profession in rural Japan called Boka, where they get food and medicine to remote villages. I think I remember hearing about that a long time ago, Jake, and that's actually awesome. I love that. I love hearing about the inspiration, because you would think, at least for me, because I mean, I live in the U.S. I think, oh, it's like your inspiration's clearly FedEx and UPS, but it's like, no, dude. You're talking about Japanese culture here, and that's very cool. I like that. Jake, thank you for reminding me, man. MBG, Microsoft are being brutal because they know GPT-5 is coming within a month, and another big uplift on the AI coding for low/medium level tasks. I'm sure. I mean, considering that's the big push that Microsoft is implementing across their entire company right now, that wouldn't be surprising. I'm sure that plays a role, and I'm going to talk about this in a moment. Like what is causing this? So we have The Verge reporting that there's going to be mass layoffs. Turn 10 Studios, who makes Forza Motorsport, is seemingly bracing themselves. Now we're hearing from Andy Robinson of VGC that there's a lot of negative chatter coming from Xbox's UK studios, including Rare, Ninja Theory, Playground Games, and some support studios for Minecraft and Activision. But to make matters even worse, let me bring it up here. There was another report, and this is a rumor. Well, no, this was confirmed. Stoic Studio, who made Towerborn and the Banner Saga, had to lay off 8 members after Xbox slashed their budget. That was confirmed. But we have George Bouchard. I don't know if I'm saying his name correctly. He is, I think, the founder of 3D Realms. And he's somebody who's well connected in the industry. He says, it says here, news has reported imminent Xbox layoffs, but I'm hearing internal developer stuff where people at most studios are extremely anxious and worried. Word is that entire studios may be shuttered. The expectation is 1 to 2,000 people. Xbox unit has about, um, I think it's actually about 20,000 employees. So 10 to 20%, which I guess would be closer to about 10% if it's 2,000. Good luck to all involved. Brutal. So something big and bad is about to occur with Microsoft. And, you know, I know that maybe the expectation is there's going to be some kind of like rant, but it's just sad, man. It is. Like this is why it's so difficult to embrace the the side of gaming discourse that only hyperfixates on the consumer. I understand why, and I understand that for most people it's like, well, it's business. It's not our job to worry about people's jobs. And I get that. But, I am somebody who pays pretty close attention, and I feel like Microsoft, to see these reports, to hear that there's potentially studios that are going to get shuttered, that to me, that has to be the most disheartening of all of this. Like it sucks, obviously, anytime people lose their jobs and there's mass layoffs. It's a shitty thing. There's no way around it. But the idea that certain studios could end up just being gone after next week, when you consider that Microsoft owns so many studios, and a lot of these studios have a rich history and are considered beloved. Not all of them, but a lot of them. This sucks, dude, because it's almost like, let's face it, man. The reality has always been Microsoft also needs to make money. Doesn't matter how valuable the corporation as a whole is, being worth trillions of dollars. Doesn't matter how much money they're willing to spend. Like just 68 billion here, 7.5 billion there. It doesn't matter, how good of a deal Game Pass is, how good of a value it is for well, it does matter to the consumer, but I'm talking from this perspective of like, dude, if they're not recouping their money, if they're not hitting their goals, doesn't matter how they're doing it, how they're not doing it. If that's not happening, these are going to be the results. And that is not exclusive to Microsoft. It just so happens that Microsoft is the biggest publisher in the industry right now. And so they probably have the highest expectations for their results in the bottom line when it comes to the bottom line. It's not like this doesn't occur for Sony or for Nintendo. It occurs with EA, Ubisoft, everybody. It's not, no business or corporation or publishers is safe from something like this happening. But when people were trying to point out that maybe Microsoft isn't the best, maybe Microsoft isn't the company that's best suited to be gobbling up entire publishers, because we're kind of afraid that this very thing is what's going to happen, because they don't know what they're doing. They haven't known for a long time what they're doing in this industry. The only thing that Microsoft did know is that they were kind of struggling and failing to make money through the Xbox division. And think of it like this. If you have a business that is struggling to make money in a specific division, you have a gaming company that is struggling to make profit. They're generating revenue. You have brand recognition, but you're struggling to make profit. And years and years go by, and you're still not making profit. So you have two options. Either change your approach, reinvest, and re-strategize, or quit. Microsoft chose, to do the first option, to re-strategize, just figure it out. right? Let's reinvest. Let's buy studios. Let's buy publishers. Let's reinvest in Game Pass. Let's do all this stuff. And that's noble in a sense where it's like, okay, you're not giving up. You're going to take a different approach, but it's a very, very, very expensive approach. And Titus, I agree with that too. It's harder for me to speak on that side of it because you're saying they did 88.1 billion this year, a 22% increase since last year. They have no excuse for this. And this is where people will say, well, this is business. These are companies. They're not a charity. And I understand that, but that's kind of crazy when we're highlighting things like what Titus is bringing up, that like if the board of these corporations had it their way, if they could completely remove the human element and make just pure profit without having to worry about humans doing any of the work at all, they would absolutely do that. They would absolutely do that. And that's ruthless and unethical. And it's just there's a lot wrong with that. And yes, Microsoft is very much that company. And Drive-By Joe comes in. Drive-By Joe dropping 5 more member gifts on you guys. He's making it rain some memberships today. He drops another 5 on you, bringing us up to 10 all on the day. So Drive-By Joe, bro.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I do appreciate that, man. Thank you. So we are 15 away now. We're 15 away. Hopefully we can hit that goal and feed the beast. Gave him a little appetizer earlier. Drive-By Joe says he wants a train. He wants a member train. Well, we'll see. We'll see if we can make that happen, man. We'll see if Silent Spartan ends up coming in again, bro. He's been coming in every stream, dropping 50 memberships. He's spoiling us. Hanzo, you're still dodging. Yeah, I don't know how that's even possible at this point, Hanzo. I'm sorry, bro. I wish there was something I could do. Pragmatic Hat, you're saying, MBG, I would pay more for man-made games. I don't want soulless AI software. I mean, I'm not opposed to AI being used as a tool to help make things more efficient, but I am opposed to the idea of AI completely replacing humans, you know? Because there is something kind of soulless about that. I think that there has to be a proper balance implemented, something that seems fair, something that makes sense and is logical from a business side, where it's about being a little bit more efficient. It's about making sure games don't take 7 or 8 years to develop, but it's not about getting people out of here and automating everything, like it's unfortunate. And I will say, man, this is why I have tried to warn certain people, people who are either fans of Xbox or really, big advocates for Xbox Game Pass. I think that I've been painted in a certain light. Now, granted, my over emotional reactions have not helped me, and it has made that worse. I think you guys know what I'm talking about. But I have tried ultimately to warn people that you can't fall for the illusion that is Microsoft's big smile, whether that be Sarah Bond, Phil Spencer, Aaron Greenberg, whoever, the people who are, it's their job to come off a certain way. You got to be really careful not to fall for that, mainly because it's not even about it being a lie. It's just that it means nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like they want you to feel good about the business decisions that they're making. And part of getting people to feel good about it is by convincing them that it's good for them. And this right here is why we have witnessed, a barrage of people banding together and for some reason on the internet condemning those who are willing to buy their video games and support studios directly and and just buy video games from publishers. Now, granted, I'm not saying that that's everywhere. I'm not saying that that is even normal. I'm just saying it does exist, and it's part of the conditioning that I've tried to tell people, like, don't go in that direction, man, because it's going to be bad. It may be good in the short term from a consumer perspective of like, look at all these games I get for a very cheap price. It almost seems too good to be true. And it's like, there's a price to be paid for everything, man. And believe me when I tell you, Microsoft's not just giving you free games or, they're not, it's not going to be on their dime. The moment that the pressure is being put on the studios, and that's what we're about to see once again. It's what we saw with Hi-Fi Rush, man. Hi-Fi Rush, it was a beloved game. Even Aaron Greenberg on Twitter came out and was like, it hit all of our metrics. We couldn't be more happy and satisfied with what Hi-Fi Rush did, just to find out that the studio ended up getting shuttered, and the game was basically deemed like not a success. Now, granted, that studio survived, and Isley comes in. Thank you so much, Isley. She's coming in and dropping a single member gift on you guys to bring us to 11. So, yeah, guys, you can always drop a single member gift to contribute to the goal. It definitely helps. So, Isley, once again, thank you for that.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Jake Skew, I do plan on reacting to the Capcom event later on. It'll probably be a second stream that we do. But yeah, this is why it's been so disheartening to see people kind of run with the whole, like, yeah, Tarnish, you're saying, well, MBG, to be fair, it was in one of the FTC's leaked Xbox documents. Phil said he wanted to, quote, evangelize his fans and the media towards condoning for Game Pass. Dude, I know. And it's unfortunate because it's like, I know I sound like a crazy conspiracy theorist and whatnot when I talk about how deep the marketing, and I use this term, might not be the best term, but maybe it is somewhat applicable, right? Where it's like brainwashing of like, bro, the moment you get, like, you're trying to overturn the video game industry by convincing people that it's okay to not buy video games. That's fine. And it's like, okay, that would be great for everybody, right? But how are they going to make money? And it's like, oh, they make it through Game Pass. And it's like, but what if that doesn't work? Oh, well, then the studios are fucked. And that's what's interesting about this situation, is that it's like, the way it traditionally works is a studio makes a game, that game goes on sale, and if it hits a sales threshold, essentially the studio is safe. Not only are they safe, but if they do well enough, they can grow and they can continue to make more games. With Game Pass, it's more volatile because it's like, okay, well, we need to use your game to get a subscriber, but then we have to hope that that subscriber stays. Not only do we have to hope that we get enough subscribers, but we got to retain those subscribers as well. And you can see how that puts maybe immense pressure on, certain studios where it's like, is your game going to be good enough to not only get somebody to subscribe for 1 month to play it and try it out, but to stick around for 3, 4, 5 months? Are those studios then becoming more reliant on other studios? It's like, well, if our game does good this month and then your game does good next month, then, hopefully that'll bring in more subs. I think that this whole notion of gobbling up studios and gobbling up IP to then just feed it into the grinder that is the Game Pass subscription model, I think it was always very risky. I think it was always very dangerous. And I'm not saying that Game Pass is solely the reason why what's about to happen is going to happen. But it's just hard not to look at that and be like, that certainly has to be a part of the reason. How could it not be? Aaron, you're saying MBG or negative agendas towards Xbox and Game Pass. You still have the option to buy games, but with the economy being tough, nothing wrong with using Game Pass. No, listen. I'm not trying to condemn anybody for using Game Pass. In fact, it's not about Game Pass. I think Game Pass itself is fine. It's like PS Plus. It's an option. I'm condemning Microsoft for trying to recondition a portion of the gaming audience into thinking that like there's no downside to embracing this model. And the downside is brutal, where it's like, if I were to ask you, if $100 million is invested in a studio to make a AAA video game, and that video game takes let's just say 5 years to develop, and then it releases, what's the bare minimum expectation? The bare minimum expectation is it's got to sell enough units to break even, to justify everything they just did. But what's the more realistic expectation? The more realistic expectation is that it breaks even and then it makes a little bit of profit. So not only did they make back what they invested in it, but now they have a little bit more that they can pocket, and then they can reinvest it. And that is the cycle. That's always been the cycle. It's literally as simple as ABC 1, 2, 3, man. It's that simple. Things get immensely more complicated when you're talking about managing 40 plus studios that some of them are AA, some of them are AAA. There's money flowing in all different directions towards all these different projects at any given time, some way more expensive than others. And it all hinges on Game Pass subscribers. And it's hard. This is why I try not to blame the consumer, because that it doesn't feel fair. This is why I have such an axe to grind with not just consumers, but other influencers, other people who are smart. Not saying that consumers aren't smart, but smart enough to know that, like, dude, you pay very close attention to the games industry. You're not just a regular average consumer. Like, how these things work. You understand it on a deeper level, but yet you're out here advocating so intensely for it, knowing that there's such a major risk here. There's such a crazy downside that if this doesn't work, people are going to it's going to be bad, man. Like, real bad. Because we're not just talking about a couple of internal Xbox studios now. Now we're talking about all of Bethesda. Now we're talking about all of Activision Blizzard King. There's a reason why Bobby Kotick thought Microsoft was fucking insane for putting when they said that, we're going to put Call of Duty in the Game Pass. Bobby Kotick was like, I have no idea why they would do that. Like, I think that's nuts. There's a reason. I understand Bobby Kotick is considered like a shitty person, and that's fine. It's neither here nor there. But he knows business. He knows how the games industry works. And I just think it's interesting that people look at that and be like, no, you're the bad guy, bro. You're just a greedy POS. And it's like, well, yeah, but why do you think Microsoft isn't that either? They're both in it for the same thing here. And that's what I never understood, is that it's not about condemning people who subscribe to Game Pass for a good deal. It's about condemning Microsoft for going so far out of their way to condition a certain portion of the gaming audience that it is totally fine to do this with no downside. And I'm not saying that Microsoft should market Game Pass by being like, you shouldn't subscribe. You should buy your games instead. It's not about that. It's about the fact that when you see Sony coming out here yesterday and saying, yeah, we're still not putting our games day and date on the PlayStation Plus. That is not happening. And the reason they give is clear cut and simple. It is not sustainable. It's simply not sustainable. In other words, translation, we need sales, just like every other video game developer and publisher. In the entire video game industry, we need sales. Unless you are a free-to-play game or a mobile game, right? You need sales. There's just no way around it. And this is why Microsoft is releasing a barrage of video games. Like, in fact, part of the reason, because people were wondering, they're like, man, why is Microsoft seemingly just firing off? I mean, just rounds of games, just game after game. I mean, whether they're back ports or whether they're new games, it doesn't matter. Like, just bring them on over to PlayStation, bro, as quickly as you possibly can. Chances are a reason why that was being done so hastily and so aggressively is because they have the Xbox division, that is, they have a certain threshold. They have they have to meet a certain number, right? You need to make this much in revenue and this much in profit. And if you fail to do so, cuts are going to be made. There's going to have to be some downsizing. And I guarantee you that the aggressive push to get so many games so quickly in such a short period of time, by the way, in like one quarter on the PlayStation platform, it was to probably try to get as many sales as they could to get as close as possible to hitting that number to prevent what's about to happen. And the fact that we're hearing these reports that it's about to be a bloodbath, it tells me that they couldn't do it. It wasn't enough, man. Yeah, the budget. There's a budget. That's the word I was looking for, Shams. Thank you. And Perfect Image, a member for 19 months, says, MBG, who started the Xbox 360? Why was that gen better than now? Now, here, these layoffs, people still want Xbox to buy WB. For me, I'll pass. PlayStation has flaws, but they still get a thumbs up. I think the 360, part of the reason the 360 did so well was because Sony didn't show up. You know, Sony, I mean, they did show up, but they showed up in a clown suit at the launch of the PlayStation 3. But the other side of it was Microsoft at that time, they had a foundational base understanding of we need to go all in. We need to have banger games at the launch. We need to have an affordable console, but a capable and powerful console. You know, we have to bring the excitement. We have to, I mean, the Xbox 360, at least the first like 4 or 5 years of it, was the epitome of Microsoft getting it in the game in the console gaming space, where it's like they get it. They knew what needed to be done and they did it. They started to fall off a little bit towards the end there, but so did Sony. Sony and Microsoft started to get distracted by the whole Wii situation, but they got it, you know. And unfortunately, that was seemingly the last time they got it. And you could make the argument that the stars just kind of aligned for them, and you know, there's a fair argument to be made that maybe Sony doing poorly really boosted Microsoft more than they otherwise would have. It gave them a bigger boost than they would have otherwise saw. But when you compare that to what we're seeing now, I I think that Microsoft, I if Microsoft was able to get their game development side together without having to buy publishers and create really high rated games that sell millions of copies, potentially upwards of 10 million copies, they would be good right now, dude. They would be more than fine. But they just couldn't do that. They just like they couldn't they just couldn't figure that side of it out. You know, it's why I always refer to that. I'll never forget this, man, because to me it was the greatest recognition of waving the white flag, of being like, holy shit, okay, we are outclassed and outmatched, was when Microsoft did their own internal review of The Last of Us Part 2, and their findings were, not only do we have nothing even remotely close to this, we are not capable of making this type of game. And that's crazy, because it's like, fuck, man, that's coming from Microsoft themselves. Should we expect layoffs for fair games if it ends up like Concord? Yeah. Sony's not. Listen, man, Sony is not innocent either when it comes to layoffs. I mean, Sony Ben just had layoffs, but we're talking about scale here, you know, and the scale of it is what makes it really. I don't know how bad it's going to be next week, but the scale of it sounds like it's going to send some shockwaves. through the industry. I got to be honest, I haven't seen reporting on layoffs like this, or like reporting on layoffs that are about to occur with the gaming division. I haven't seen something like this, I don't think, for a very long time. We're seeing like multiple reports coming out, and they all sound like it's going to be somewhat devastating. Now, maybe it won't be as bad. Maybe it won't be as bad as these reports are making it sound, and that would be a good thing. But it's like, I mean, yeah, dude, like Sony, they bought Firewalk and then shut that whole studio down. You know, it's like, yeah, Sony has had problems themselves, but this is the thing. Part of the risk that Microsoft took when buying Activision, Blizzard King, and Bethesda is you are buying two of the biggest, especially Activision, two of the biggest video game publishers in the entire industry, man. If this goes south, it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. Like, not just like, oh, you know, a little bit here and there. It's like if over a longer period of time in the years to come, if it's like if Microsoft can't achieve their goals, oh, it's going to be bad. And the same can be said for the studios that Sony bought, like Housemarque, Bluepoint, but also, you know, like I said, Firewalk, Haven. It's like, you know, Bungie. Like, I've talked to you guys about how, man, Bungie is still a disaster for Sony, where it's like, dude, you want to talk about one of the most misguided acquisitions ever? That's one of them. So Sony's not innocent either. It's just that, you know, right now the reports are focused on Microsoft, and my big concern, genuinely, is what studios are getting shut down, dude. Because we are hearing from multiple places that apparently there's going to at least be a studio getting shut down. Could be more than one, but to me, that's when shit starts to get spooky. And that's not just for Microsoft. Like, that goes for any studios. Like, it's when a studio gets shut down, it's bad, man, because it's like, that's it. That's the end. And the reality is, because Microsoft bought so many studios and so many publishers, there are many beloved studios that it's going to be a hell of a thing if they meet their final fate at the hands of Microsoft, bro. We have Kazuya88 with a generous super chat. Thank you for that, buddy. And he says, hi, MBG. I got my Death Stranding 2 physical copy today. The longer wait sucked, but I'll fight the buy this to play early BS as hard and as long as I can, LOL. Xbox people who cheered on ABK acquisitions look kind of stupid now. Well, first off, Kazuya, I'm happy to hear that you're getting a physical copy of Death Stranding. I've been, again, seeing people come out and express their their commitment to doing that, and it's really tough when you do have the 2-day early access period, which I did buy. I'm buying both, but I did that because, again, a viewer donated to make that happen. But I was prepared to do that too, to kind of have that 2-day wait. It would have been really tough. So good on you for that, man. Got to support physical media where we can. I mean, those who were cheering on the ABK acquisition, this is exactly what I was talking about, man. Like, from their perspective, they're cheering on because it's like, this is just more games in Game Pass for me. And I get that. I'm not saying you're wrong for being excited for that necessarily, right? I'm not saying you're wrong for wanting more games in Game Pass day one. The only thing I'm going to ask is, do you understand what's going to happen if this doesn't work? This is why I was so fixated last year with the build up to Call of Duty Black Ops 6 launching day one in the Game Pass, where this is the big one. This is the big one, right? Call of Duty, a brand new Call of Duty, a Black Ops Call of Duty, dropping day one in the Game Pass. I said, if this doesn't move the needle in a significant way for Microsoft, that's bad news for Game Pass. That is bad news for their, I guess you could say their big play. Why are we doing this? We're doing this to feed Game Pass. That's what we need. We need more content. If we get more content and we feed Game Pass, it's going to grow Game Pass. And there's logic there. To be clear, there is logic there. I'm not I'm not saying that like it's flawed logic. It's not. It actually makes complete sense. I would think the same thing most likely if I was in the boardroom of Microsoft and we're trying to brainstorm like, what do we need here? Why isn't Game Pass moving? I got it. We need more day one games. Well, all the day one games we had didn't work. So what now? What if we buy really popular games and studios and make those day one? That should do it. Starfield, Call of Duty, this should do it. This should easily get us to 50 million, right? No. And I have to admit, even I'm a little bit surprised that like, goddamn. I mean, you can't say they didn't try, but it's like you bet on the wrong horse, Microsoft. And Microsoft has the time and money technically to wait. Where we can wait 10 years if that's what it takes. But let me ask you, is that really what they're going to do? You think they're going to just lose money willingly for 10 years straight and tell the investors, just trust us? No. That's not how this works. That's never how it worked, and that's not how it's going to work. The way it works is, here's your budget. Here are your numbers that we expect you to hit. Here's the amount of money we gave you to invest in this division. So good luck. Let us know how it goes. Report back to us next quarter. It's brutal, and that's the nature of the business, man. Again, I'm not saying Sony's innocent. I'm not saying Nintendo or any. All businesses operate slightly differently, but this is just the nature of the beast. And just as there's high risk, it's like the high risk, high reward. Everything that we're seeing with Microsoft is that. And this is why I have tried so hard to point out to people, like, be careful how much you just let yourself kind of embrace the Game Pass model. Like, save your money, take the deal from a consumer level, but just be aware, if you are somebody who pays close attention to the gaming industry and you think about the wider industry and how things are going, you think about studios, you know that studios can get shut down, you know that things can go south. Just be aware. Be aware that if this doesn't work out, there are going to be serious consequences. And I know that sounds like fear mongering, but it's like, dude, it's not fear mongering when it's real. It's not fear mongering when we're looking at actual, because keep in mind, I'm not out here telling you that, that Sony's doing great and Xbox is going to shut studios down just because. No, I'm here just presenting once again the fact. The fact of the matter is Sony just dropped a AAA game that, yes, it's one game for the first 6 months of the year, but it is a game of the year contender sitting at a 90 on Metacritic that seemingly has a pretty good shot of selling well. On the other side of that, Microsoft has been pumping out ports of games and new games and dropping them day one onto Game Pass and on PlayStation in some cases. Like, there's no tomorrow. And they're about to be the ones to come out with mass layoffs and possible studio closures. These are, now granted, to be clear, the announcement of the layoffs has not occurred yet, but it's pretty much a guarantee at this point. It's happening next month. And I feel the need to just kind of frame it this way. Well, not even frame it this way, but present it this way because it's as clear cut as it could possibly be. It is as clear cut as it could be. Where it's not that Sony doesn't have layoffs. It's not that layoffs are not a common thing we see across the industry these days. They are. But what is uncommon is the sheer size and scale that we are apparently, because we have to keep in mind that this is not the first time. This is not the first time that Microsoft has had layoffs. Back in January of 2023, Microsoft slashed 10,000 jobs across their entire company. But part of that was the gaming division. And a few months after the acquisition of Activision Blizzard, they removed 19,000 employees between the Xbox and Activision Blizzard teams. Now, granted, at that time, people were like, oh, it's just, redundancies and whatnot. But that was about 8% of their workforce. They canceled a new IP that was in development. Project Odyssey. And then last year, in May of 2024, they announced more layoffs and they shut down some studios. They shut down Tango Gameworks. They shut down Arcane Austin. They shut down Alpha Dog Games and Roundhouse Studios. Now, luckily, Tango Gameworks was revived, but this is why I'm saying, man, like this is like an annual thing that's been happening ever since Microsoft started acquiring publishers. I understand that they're desperate to save the Xbox business and the gaming side. I understand that, but goddamn, man, like the cost, like at what cost, man? Like the whole point of this from the start was supposed to be you make a box, you sell that box for a slight loss, you make good video games, you make a good storefront, you make a good platform on that box, and most importantly, you make good video games that you use to sell that box, and that is that virtuous cycle. That is the cycle that makes it sustainable. And that's the thing, man. This is why I try to tell people, like, you can't just brush the console wars, as people put it, or the competition. You can't just brush that under the rug and say, well, this doesn't exist anymore, because one of these companies that was trying to do this failed to do so. No, this will exist, and it is existing, and it will continue. It's always going to exist because it is proven to be sustainable, and it works. And anything else that has been attempted has yet to prove itself to be sustainable. And when you have Microsoft, the literal most powerful company in the world, worth trillions of dollars, even they're struggling to figure out how to make this work, that should give you a sign. That should give you a sign that, you know, maybe, just maybe, Sony and Nintendo kind of know what they're doing. Or maybe most other publishers know what they're doing, or platform holders, I mean to say, not publishers, because they understand that it's simple. You make the game, you sell the game. You make the platform. You make the games for the platform to sell the platform, to make the platform more enticing. I'm telling you, it is times like this, just what's been happening in the last month, price increases, now mass layoffs. This is why I've gotten as frustrated as I've gotten, and why I would get so pissed at seeing so many people on social media, on YouTube, in Reddit threads, everywhere, thinking they know how this works. And it's like, really? Why? Because Phil Spencer told you so? Because you believe, like, blindly what Microsoft's marketing and PR team is telling you? Because you listened to an influencer on YouTube that wants to tell you, oh, you know, this is great. Why? Well, because it saves you money. Oh, well, yeah, that's pretty enticing. But this is why I try to encourage people, like, we all know, or we should know, how this works. If something seems too good to be true, then that means it is. That means there's a cost being paid somewhere else. And just because you may not be aware of it doesn't mean you won't become aware of it. I think this sucks. Straight up. Roberto Sosa with a $10 super chat. Thank you, buddy. He says, hey, BG, trying to finish Death Stranding 1. Just bought Death Stranding 2 Collector's Edition and controller. I was thinking to just jump onto Death Stranding 2, but I decided to finish DS1. What do you think? Love your streams. Well, thank you so much for that, Roberto. First of all, I appreciate the support, man. I mean, I understand why it's super tempting now that Death Stranding 2 is out to just forego finishing the first one and jump right into the second. I mean, I think it depends on how far you are in the game. I mean, my gut recommendation is going to be finish Death Stranding 1 first. If you started it, I think you should just see it through. It is a long game. I mean, I won't deny that, but I think you will appreciate. I mean, I feel certain that you'll have just a much greater appreciation for Death Stranding 2 as a whole if you finish 1. But Yeah, that I get it, man. I know how tough that is, where it's hard to just sit there and play the first game when the new one's out. I get it. Um, I mean, I'm going to encourage you to go with your gut, Roberto. I think you would be okay ultimately if you decide to just move on from DS1 and start with 2, because you can always watch the recap. But as somebody who played the first one, um, it's hard to it's hard not to recommend finishing it. So you have to let me know what you end up deciding on, man. But yeah, I mean, you went all out for the sequel. You got the collector's edition, the controller. I mean, it's just sitting there for you. So I totally understand the temptation. That's a tough one. But thank you again for the super chat, man. And yeah, guys, I want to encourage, if you want to help, continue to support the channel. We're sitting at 11 members on the day. We're still trying to make our way to that 25 goal. We'll see if we can do that. Dropping super chats helps a ton, of course, as well, and direct donations. So thank you guys for that. No such thing as a fair deal for a fair price. They all have to start okay and in shitification everything. Yeah, that's a whole nother. Jeez, man, it's a whole nother problem. I just I just feel kind of sad to see this. It's like I know people think that I want to dance on the grave of Xbox. It's like, no, I don't. Like, are you kidding me? So many studios, so many games, so much IP. I think people tend to forget that, like, I did play on Xbox. Like, I was part of the Xbox community. Like, I'm not trying to dance on any grave of anything. You know, I just I'm t- I, what I really the only grave that I want to dance on, if we're being dramatic about it, is the grave of the false perception and the misguided narrative that persists. And Henry 3K answers the call, bro. Henry 3K comes in and he drops another single member gift for you guys, bringing us up to 12. So, Henry, thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And yeah, guys, like I said, you can always drop single member gifts. You can always get a single train going. It's a rare occurrence, but it does happen from time to time. And that false narrative and that false perception that I talk about wanting to see die, it's the one that I think has helped lead to this, which is, I don't blame Microsoft for making certain decisions that they felt would grow Game Pass to a really high number of players, so that way Game Pass could be the new go-to, the Netflix of gaming. But it's just that, like, it always comes back down to, I think, one really essential and important thing. And this is what I know, quite a few people have agreed with me on this. And I think some people still do. And I don't want to frame this unfairly. I'm not trying to be unfair about anything. I think that Microsoft has produced some good games. I think that's undeniable. Even if we're just going based off objectivity, or as objectively as we can, whether that be like review scores or just overall praise, critical acclaim, Microsoft has produced some pretty good games. But I've maintained for a very long time. I mean, this goes back towards the middle of the Xbox One generation. And I had this belief that if Microsoft doesn't figure out how to produce, and I know this term is like, it's used in, like, for console warring and whatnot, and I'm not trying to use it that way, but you know what type of game I'm talking about. If Microsoft can't figure out a way to produce bangers, as they say, consistently, and when I say consistently, I'm not talking every month. I'm not even talking every 2 months, but just banger, flagship games that are just like events. Like, when this game drops, it's a freaking event, bro. If they can't figure that out and get back to that, because you want to know what they did during the 360 generation, as somebody asked earlier, that's what they knew how to do. Now, they weren't doing it like, throughout the entire generation, but for a bulk of the 360 generation, that is what they were doing. They understood they understood the mission. You make the box affordable, and then you make a game that when it drops, it's a goddamn bomb going off. It's an event. It's not just a content drop. It's a whole event it's going to be like a black hole. It's going to be like a gravitational pull. If Microsoft can't figure out, and I was saying this back in the Xbox One days, how to get back to that internally, not externally. Like, there's nothing wrong with securing some exclusivity here and there. You want to do a couple third-party exclusives, a couple second-party. This all is good and helps. But I'm talking internally, where it's like from your own teams. You know, like there's this kind of culture inside. Because that's what Sony does, and that's what Nintendo does, and even Valve to an extent with the games they release, even though they don't release games as much anymore. Like this is the common thread between all of them. To have a successful platform, you need to have not just good games, not just great games. You need excellent games. And I'm not saying that's easy. And I've always understood that it's not easy. But what I will also say alongside that is I don't think you can just throw money at that problem and expect it to work. Because it's like, yes, Starfield, I understand that was supposed to be their moment. Like, okay, we're going to have to buy this game, right? Starfield. And that didn't do it. Define excellent games. The best definition I can give is a game that's critically and commercially successful. Like across the board. A game that, again, when it drops, it's like an event. It's like a bomb just went off. You can't escape it. Now, it varies. Not every single release has to be that way. That's unrealistic. But there has to be enough of them consistently enough to continue to gravitationally pull people to your platform. And if you're not doing that, or you're failing to do that, people are going to leave your platform because your competitors are doing that. And I understand that's not me saying that Microsoft doesn't have games or they haven't had games. I just think that even when I look at what they've released this year, like, where is that game? The closest thing I saw to that this year, truthfully, was I think the Elder Scrolls Remastered. And that's good, but I would argue that's still probably not good enough. But again, it makes matters worse when you're just dropping these games day one into Game Pass, man, where you're foregoing how many sales, potentially. Doom the Dark Ages. I mean, you're saying not good enough? I mean, you tell me. There was a report circulating that game sold like less than 1 million units or something, or it struggled to hit 1 million sales. And I'm like, I'm not. I played some of that game, and I'm like, it's not bad, but I don't know. It doesn't have that. I don't know why, but Microsoft just doesn't have it. Microsoft has not. Again, they said it themselves. We can't make a game like The Last of Us Part 2. And I'm like, and that's the problem. Having all these other games is great. And some of them are fantastic. Like they're good, and like this is a solid ass game. But we are the way it's always been and the way it will continue to be is that if you have a platform where your main goal is we got to bring you in, you're going to need something that is undeniable, something that reaches. Honestly, you know what comes to mind? There are 2 games that come to mind, dude, where I'm like, Microsoft had it with 2 games. They had this, Halo and Gears. And I know that's funny because it's like, oh, Halo, Gears, Forza, but think about it. Think about when Gears 1 was launching alongside the 360. That's what I'm talking about. That was a bomb, bro, going off, and you could not escape it. You were in that blast radius. If you were paying attention to video games in 2005, you were in that blast radius. Same thing with Halo when it launched with the original Xbox. That's what Microsoft needs. That's what they've needed for the longest time. And they had it with Halo and Gears and even Forza at some point. But as Sony, Nintendo, and even Valve at certain times were expanding beyond just one or two or three of those games, Microsoft was not. And I think that's what bit them in the ass. And I think that's why they're the ones that were like, we have to buy publishers. Where you know what they have now? Now they have a Call of Duty. And that's great. And Call of Duty will ensure that they'll survive no matter what. Xbox will live on no matter what. But is that really what anybody meant? Like, when people think about getting that big, awesome banger game reveal at the Xbox showcase, are we thinking, oh yeah, that one more thing moment is Black Ops 7? Is that really what we mean? Is that really what we're collectively hoping for? I don't think so. And I think anybody who tries to tell you it is, I think that they're lying to themselves. And I think that they're just trying to, tell themselves that no, Microsoft knows what they're doing. It's like, dude, it's Call of Duty, man. It's Call of Duty. Like, and we have Leo Jimmy with a $20 super chat. Leo, thank you for that, buddy. He says MBG money Game Pass is short-sighted upside. Short-sighted upside, similar to Microsoft saying, hey, want to be a vampire? You'll never die. Superhuman strength, speed. You say sure, but Microsoft never told you the cons, and you didn't ask about the cons. Now you're stuck. Damn, Leo, that's like foreboding. What are the cons to being a vampire? Microsoft wants to make you a vampire. What are those cons, man? Now you're stuck. Yeah, so it turns out never being able to die, all you're going to want to do is fantasize about dying, You're saying Halo Infinite 87 score not good enough. Well, I mean, let's ask this question. And Leo Jimmy, I agree with what you're saying in your super chat, man. This is why I'm saying, like, you always have to ask what's the catch, because there is always a catch. Because there needs to be a catch. Because for some reason that's just the way the world operates. Always has, always will. I mean, we need to ask this question because, Unico, I see what you're saying, man. Is it possible? And because, I've seen the term Xbox tax or whatever thrown around. Is the industry and the consumer at large just simply unfair towards Microsoft? Now, I feel like that's a tough one to kind of dissect because it's like, well, that seems highly dependent on who you ask. Halo Infinite sitting at an 87, we need to ask ourselves, if that game reviewed so well and got such praise, why didn't it move the needle for Microsoft like the original Halo did? Now, listen, I haven't played Halo Infinite, and I'm not going to sit here and judge the game. I'm not going to try to harshly judge a game or be critical on a game that I haven't played, but all I can go based off of is what I've heard. I've heard Halo Infinite has improved dramatically since its launch, but I remember what I heard is the campaign was lacking severely. I heard that the live service multiplayer was a solid multiplayer, but also lacking in content. And, again, I've heard it's gotten better, but I don't know. I don't know if maybe by that point Halo just lost its luster, or I don't know. But I feel like it's kind of the same thing with like Gears of War 4 and Gears of War 5, where it's like those games were not bad at all. Like they were considered high quality games. I don't think those titles lost their quality, but they did change over time a little bit. And it just seems like people were kind of ready for something new. And that's, I think, if you want to know what I think really was the stake in Xbox's heart, bro, that this is why PlayStation is not following what they're doing. and why Microsoft is starting to release their games on PlayStation, and there's going to be all these different maneuvers that Microsoft is seemingly making, and the entire brand is transforming. I think the stake in Xbox's heart was when that time came, and it might, I think it maybe was during the end of the 360 era, going maybe into the middle of the Xbox One era, where like there was a demand from the consumer, from the gamer, that like, listen, Halo, Gears, and Forza are great, and we'll always support these games, but you gotta start, like, you gotta do what you did for Halo, Gears, and Forza with new games. And that's where I think Microsoft, they just didn't know what to do. Where you get a Naughty Dog that's coming off of Uncharted 1 through 3, and even before we entered the PS4 generation, people are like, "Okay, Naughty Dog, well, I think maybe it's time for you to do something new." And then they come out with The Last of Us. You get a Guerrilla Games that just went through how, like, what, 4 kill zones over the course of a generation and a quarter, right? And everybody's like, "Well, I think it's time for something new, Guerrilla." And they're like, "Here's Horizon." Now, granted, I think people are asking them to do something new beyond Horizon now, ironically enough. And then, yeah, you get Sucker Punch. And the list goes on. And this is what I'm saying. Like, that's what Sony did. And because they succeeded in that, they set an expectation. And that expectation was something that Microsoft, no matter what, for better or for worse, had to contend with. And I'm not saying they didn't try. I'm just saying that they tried and they failed. And that is what has led us to where we are today, man, where I understand people want to talk, well, Avowed came out this year, and South of Midnight came out this year, and Doom came out this year, and they dropped Forza, and they got Forza on PlayStation, they got Elder Scrolls Remastered, and I'm like, that's all great, and I'm not saying, like, I'm not the one telling you that Avowed is a failure. I'm not the one telling you that South of Midnight is a failure. I'm just saying that I didn't go to Game Pass for these games. I'm also going to say that these were not event games. They were games, and they're fine, and they're good. Um, I also feel confident saying that I don't think any of the games I listed did really anything for Game Pass, really, except just maintain the current subscribers that they have, that they're probably going to only lose if they just stop releasing games consistently onto the service. That's what I'm going to tell you. And what we need to ask at that point is, okay, well, if that's true, what does that mean? I think what it means is what we're going to see next week. Mark my words. It's going to be a bloodbath next week, because I've never seen anything quite like this. Now, I'm hoping it's not as bad, and I know that people think that I'm just lying when I say that. But no, dude, like, I don't want to see studios get shut down, because what if it's what if we find out it's Undead Labs get shut down or whatever? I'll be fuming. I don't think that's going to happen, but it's like, what if it is Ninja Theory? It's like, bro, I know Hellblade 2 didn't really live up to expectations, but dude, that's a talented studio. Like, we can't see them go. This is going to suck. Now that I said that, it's going to shut down. That's going to be the only studio closure, bro. Microsoft is going to shut down Undead Labs just to spite me. Cancel State of Decay 3. We have Michael Stanbrook with a super chat. Thank you, buddy. Saying a lot of it is self-inflicted. Now they're pushing for the Outer Worlds to be $80. That's not the game to do that, so expect another sales flop. And that's another thing, Michael. Yeah, I mean, it is so bizarre to see Microsoft coming out here before Sony with a game like The Outer Worlds 2 charging $80, bro. Or in this case, 80 pounds, right? I feel like it's like, no offense towards this game, but who's going? I'm not saying, see, I need to be careful with the way I word things because I'm trying not to sound so condescending these days because it's just rude. But it's like, how many people really are going to spend $80 for the Outer Worlds 2 when you have so many other games surrounding it that are not $80? Or even if they are $80, I'm going to say they probably don't look like the Outer Worlds 2. I understand there will be some people who pay $80 for it, and I'm not condemning them. Like, that's fine. I think that's good. You should, if you think it's worth $80, you should support it. But I look at it and I'm like, I'm in agreement with what you're saying, Michael. It's like, this is the game that you're going to come out the gate swinging with for an $80 price tag? And I see people kind of trying to twist this. We're like, no, this is strategic. This is to make Game Pass look more valuable. And I'm like, dude, Game Pass is also probably going up in price. Not that long from now. Like, that's probably going to happen. I don't think that's what this is about. I think this is about making more money. That's what's crazy, dude. Like, some people are so brainwashed that they don't see that. Like, they don't see, like, dude, Microsoft isn't raising prices to give you more value and save you money. They're raising prices to make more money. Just like when Sony raises prices, it's to make more money. Just when Nintendo does it, it's no different. They might even cancel Crackdown 4. Can you believe it? Microsoft cancels the secretly in development Crackdown 4. I'm going to flip my table. I'm going to flip my desk. The number one game of the generation canceled. They're bringing Terry Crews back. No, this time they're going to have Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. No. They're going to get Vin Diesel. Just like they did for Arc 2, which is apparently not actually in development. Funny enough. I saw somebody in the chat say, I bet you'll be happy next week. No, dude. Listen, if this is going to happen. This is going to happen. Like, the reports are coming out. There's going to be some kind of bloodbath next week, and it's going to be brutal. If there's any good that could come out of it, the only thing I'll be hoping for, because I have no idea how bad it's going to be, is that this is a bit of a wake-up call for some people. And that's why I said earlier that, like, certain narratives that we need, it's not even just for the sake of better discourse on the internet in regards to video games. It's for the sake of the health of the industry, dude. People need to realize that this is the result of people not buying video games and studios not producing good enough results. That's a deadly combination. You get a studio that is producing something that maybe is a good game. It's not bad, but it's like it doesn't have the most appeal. Maybe it's a shorter game. Maybe it's not the most graphically impressive or whatever. It's got certain things about it that would maybe put it in the AA space, which is not bad in and of itself. But when you take that, and then, we're also looking at the fact that AA game took 4 or 5, maybe even 6 years to develop, and then it doesn't sell. It barely makes any money on actual full price sales. That's a deadly combination. And the question needs to be asked, how much of that was because it was a day one drop into a video game subscription service? And maybe the answer is, oh, well, actually, it turns out it dropping day one into Game Pass had almost no impact on its sales negatively. It didn't make any difference. So it's like what you're saying is, even if this game didn't drop into Game Pass day one, it still would have been considered a failure sales-wise. That's still a major problem. And that's why I also highlighted that this is what I mean about just going in the AA direction, where it's not that it's completely misguided, but it's that it has to be done with more thought put into it, and it needs to be done much more deliberately, in that you can't just float out there 8 to 10 AA games because you think that's going to be good for Game Pass, and then just to find out that none of them really move the needle for Game Pass, and none of them even sell anyway. It is what it is, man. I know I've been going on long about this topic, but it's because I could only imagine. Well, actually, I don't need to imagine because it did happen this generation. Sony has shut down a few studios this generation, and I was very distraught. I mean, frankly, Firewalk was not, I'll be honest, like, I was not surprised when they shut down. But when we talk about London studios shutting down, we talk about Pixel Opus shutting down, and then it's obviously it's bad. It's bad when we see that because I remember when Sony London shut down, I was like, bro, why would you guys task the studio with making a live service game and set them up for failure like that? Like, why not get the studio, maybe make another Getaway or try to make something in that vein? You have a history there. Now, maybe that wasn't feasible because it's like everybody who made that game is gone and we don't even know anything about that game. It's like we don't know if we can do that. I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to make it again seem like it's just Microsoft, but I just feel like I guess what I'm trying to say is I have just generally a higher confidence level in Sony in that like they understand that there has to be a certain quality bar they hit and they can't just pump out games for the sake of pumping them out. They have to be very thoughtful, very intentional, and they will have failures as we've seen. That's every publisher is going to have failures. But I feel more confident that what they understand is that, guys, we're going to put money into this game and we're going to put time into it, and the devs are going to try their best. We expect you to buy it. That's the expectation. We don't expect you to just sit there and wait for it to drop in the PS Plus. We don't expect you to sit there and wait for it to come to PC. We expect that if you bought a PlayStation, that you'll buy this game. That's the hope. And that works. State of Jim Ryan, a member for 9 months, says, fun fact, The Outer Worlds 2 is actually £70, the same price as other games that are supposed to be $70, like Doom and Death Stranding 2. Weird. Wait. You're saying... Well, I thought The Outer Worlds 2 was the first game to be announced to be $80 from Microsoft. Or is it only $80 US, but it's £70? Is that what you're saying? Can somebody else confirm this for me? Or wait, hold on. I'm a little bit confused because okay, yeah, so £70 is $85. You're saying the same price as other games that are supposed to be $70, like Doom or Death Stranding. Corey, you're saying I couldn't donate to Boss Treats. The guilt is overwhelming. Wait, what do you mean? You feel guilty giving Boss Treats? Only in America and Australia, it's the same regular price as other games. You're saying it's more in the US. Yeah, so English pounds are worth more than dollars. Well, how much? Because you're saying the same price as other games that are supposed to be $70. I think I understand what you're saying here. It just I don't know why it just reads weird in my head for some reason. And we have T.O. on tap, a member for 8 months. He says, if Microsoft owned a studio like Team Asobi, they would have shut it down after winning Game of the Year because it didn't, quote, meet financial expectations. Damn. I mean, that's why I think it is important that Sony does place some level of value. People kind of talk shit on this, but it can be a good thing in some instances where Sony puts some level of value on critical reception of a game. Where I saw people trying to clown on Astrobot because they're like, oh, it only sold like 1.5 million in like 2 weeks or whatever. We don't actually know the updated sales numbers for Astrobot, but it's safe to say that it's not like a 5, 6, 7 million seller. It's probably at like 2 million, give or take. Maybe that's on the higher end, or maybe it is a little bit past that, but it's probably not doing crazy numbers. And what's interesting is that Sony is totally fine with that because they're over the moon about how much people love Astrobot, how much how this is a new mascot for them. It's bringing in a younger audience. It's finally, it feels like genuine competition to what some of the Mario games, some of the types of games that Nintendo has produced, and there's value, like there's a value here that goes beyond just the bottom line. Not to say that if like honestly, I could if Astrobot lost them a little bit of money, I think they would still be okay with it. If it lost them a lot of money, they'd probably. I'm not saying Sony isn't. They're still a corporation too. They still think about the bottom line, but there does seem to be this importance placed on the actual, if not the art, because I know that sounds too loaded for some people, but just the reception of that art. Like that means something to Sony, and yeah, that's something that's been crazy to see, bro. With Hi-Fi Rush, where I still can't believe that Microsoft did that. Like they came out, like this game met all of our internal expectations. It was at the Game Awards. It was the biggest win that Microsoft had in literally like a decade. And they were like, shut the studio down. Get him out. And I'm like, that's holy shit. Like that is cutthroat, man. That is scary. That is so cold and machine like. Oh, okay. All right. Corey, I was like, bro, boss was going nuts earlier. He was going nuts earlier for I gave him like 4 treats or whatever. And Hellbound 1981 comes in. The legend returns. He comes in dropping 5 more member gifts for you guys, bringing us up to 17 on the day. And just like that, we are this close. We are this close to hitting that 25 mark. And luckily, boss is still chilling over there. So Hellbound, thank you so much for that, man. I know he likes that soundbite. And we have Leo Jimmy with another generous $20 super chat. Leo, thank you for that, man. Lloyd says he missed a gifted sub. Well, hang tight, Lloyd. We'll see. Maybe it'll still happen. Leo Jimmy says, MBG money, I'm telling you, Microsoft don't know how to read the room. The 360 was synonymous with shooters. They had the market, got all these games now, but it doesn't matter. Their games are everywhere. Should have done this 10 years ago. Yeah, and I have to say, man, like, now more than ever, I'm very concerned about what's going to happen next week with studios potentially getting shut down. Because at first, the report was just layoffs, which are bad. I'm not trying to downplay layoffs. They're very bad especially when they're like, there's a lot, and it just seems like, yeah, they're just shaving, bro. That's bad in and of itself. But once I started to see that we're talking about potential studios being shuttered, like, I'm viewing this as like, yeah, these are studios that if, they're probably going to ship on PS5. Like if they don't get shuttered, whatever studios survive, whatever studio doesn't survive and potentially get shuttered, if any do, they were going to ship on PS5. And there's a chance that their game could have been something I was interested in. And that's why there are actual studios underneath Microsoft that I absolutely would not want to see get shuttered. And what you're saying is Microsoft just doesn't know how to read the room. They had it in the palm of their hand. They did, dude. They had it in the palm of their hand, and God, man, I think Sony was going to make a comeback no matter what. I mean, they did make a comeback with the PS3, and I think the PS4 was going to do well no matter what. But it's just that was the moment for Microsoft to utilize everything that they learned with their time in the industry, with the original Xbox, and especially the success they found with the 360, and to understand just from a base level, like, we have the shooter market and we have Call of Duty, right? Call of Duty in the sense that like we got the marketing deal with them. We have our own shooters. We have our own games. We have our own studios. We got Halo, we got Gears, we got Forza. You know, we have the momentum. All we have to do is not prioritize TV and sports and things that are not video game related. If we just do that, and also not, I want to point this out as well because Sony is guilty of this too, unfortunately. Um, they both Sony and Microsoft got blinded by the Wii. And I think it obviously negatively impacted Microsoft way more. But you want to talk about reading the room, like they both should have realized that, dude, you're not going to find the success that Nintendo found with the Wii. And you're crazy if you are delusional if you think that's going to happen. There is some money to be made in that market by trying to replicate to a degree what they did, but they both went at it too aggressively. And they got burned. Now, they both got burned by it, but Microsoft was the one who really went all in with the Kinect. And that's why I just think, like, man, it's a shame. I still look back at the Xbox One and I think what could have been. I mean, there's a reality. There's an alternate reality where Microsoft nailed the Xbox One launch, and I'm still playing on Xbox, bro. Maybe I'd have a PlayStation 2. Well, I mean, if Sony still got Death Stranding, I definitely would have got a PlayStation. But that's an alternate reality. And I'll be honest, man. Like, seeing what we're seeing now, this is our reality, right? There's nothing that can be done about it. But seeing what we're seeing now, it really makes me wish that things did pan out differently with the with the Xbox One and that launch. You're saying the Kinect was hugely successful though in the short term. That's true. Like it did find short term success. I guess it's just, I think maybe where they messed up wasn't with the Kinect 2.0. It was them saying, and it's required. Like it's part of the console now. I think that's where they messed up because the Kinect 2.0 probably would have found some success if it was treated appropriately, like an alternate, like an add-on accessory, something that you can buy with your Xbox if you want. I think they really dropped the ball there, but it's neither here nor there at this point. Sports, TV. Alternate reality. MBG is sitting in the front row of E3 alongside Don Matrick as the world's largest Xbox influencer. Dude, I just had the craziest image in my head. That's wild. Yo, make an AI image. That's the one. That's the one, Gaming Survivor. PlayStation Pete with a generous $20 donation. Thank you so much for that, PlayStation Pete. He says, might struggle with hard difficulty trophy with Rebirth. My boss tried to buy a Nissan SUV. They told him his car had too many miles. The car was too old. They told him he had to pay $700 a month. I pay $725. We're saying $725, $673 for car insurance. Excuse me. I feel like that's a lot. Your boss tried to buy a Nissan SUV. They told him it was PlayStation Pete. Are you trying to sell everybody on a Nissan? PlayStation Pete with his Nissans, bro. Smurf, you're saying we could be praising matrictology. Matrictology, bro. Oh man, that's I gotta be honest, that's a really interesting alternate reality. I would love to see it. I would love to see that alternate universe, bro. But PlayStation Pete, getting back to your super chat, man, I didn't realize that one of the trophies you still had to do was the hard difficulty. I think you had to complete the entirety of FF7 Rebirth on hard, or the hardest difficulty that is on offer. Yeah, I think that's going to be challenging because if I recall correctly, people were saying that it's really not easy at all. Like it's extremely challenging. I'm not trying to like scare you anything, but that might be like the biggest hurdle to overcome. But I believe in you, PlayStation Pete. It's okay if you can't do it. I think you will, though. I don't know. We'll see. I think you'll do it. You're gonna. I think you're not going to be able to not do it. You might struggle, but you're going to push through. You're going to persist. You'll definitely have to let us know, PlayStation Pete, when you get that Rebirth Platinum. He's going to reward himself with a new Nissan. A big picture of Don Matrick in your background. There's something so cursed but interesting about the idea of Don Matrick remaining the face of Xbox throughout the entire Xbox One gen going into where we are now. And like Phil Spencer just like never being the head. I really wonder, like what if they did give Don another chance? Think about that. What if it's like, okay, Don, you messed up big, but we're gonna give you a chance to fix it. What if he could have fixed it? I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying. Maybe Donology. Anyway, to wrap up this whole topic about potential Xbox studio closures, because I've been going on and on about it. Apparently it's real, man. We're getting multiple reports that something big's going down next week. And do not be surprised if the main topic of discussion for at least part of next week is major job cuts. And it sucks because, like I said, layoffs are bad and there's been too many of them already. But, these are now studios that, that are likely going to ship on PlayStation or would ship on PlayStation. So, very, very unfortunate, man. It's a damn shame. Why does nobody blame Phil? Leo, I think quite a few people still do blame Phil, and he definitely is responsible to a degree. Probably to a large degree. I think there's a lot of blame to go around, but I'll say this last thing and then we'll move on. If there's one thing that if I had to just highlight one real criticism, I mean a real criticism that it's like, this is the Achilles heel. Oh, uh-oh. Hold on. Are we back? What's going on? I don't know what's going on right now. All right, I don't know if you guys can hear me. I'm gonna go check my internet. It's telling me there's gonna be buffering. Apparently, the status is poor. I'm gonna go check my internet real quick, or my modem. See what's going on. Oh, you know what? Hold on. I think the wire was this. Hold on. I think we're good. Let me refresh it. This is weird. I mean, you guys are saying we're good, but on my end, it's still telling me. It says YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. As such, viewers will experience buffering. Oh, there we go. And then it shot back to excellent. Okay. All right. I think we're good. That was really strange. I wonder what caused that. I unplugged my Ethernet cable and plugged it back in. Major flaw, like the one true criticism, the Achilles heel of Xbox. And guys, before I do that and we move on to the final topics here, do me a favor, hit that like button. We survived. The stream survived. Hit that like button. Let's see if we can get it to 150 likes. And I want to once again encourage you guys, because we're so close. Oh, geez. Okay, don't. Boss is back. Come on. Over here, dude. Over here. Stop that. Stop it. I want to encourage you guys. We're at 17 members. We are very, very close to 25. Okay, we're very close. So consider dropping a membership gift. Consider becoming a member. All right. I want to see if we can hit that 25 mark so we can feed the beast the full amount. But I love how I put my hand in front of the camera to try to stop to block his butt from just showing up, and it just totally failed. And it was on the camera anyway. What I was going to say is that the number one thing I would criticize Microsoft for, in that, like, it's their fatal flaw, their Achilles heel, ultimately, is that they, and, you know, because bringing it back to Phil Spencer, like, why doesn't Phil Spencer get enough blame, is they needed to simply put, and I cannot put it any simpler than this. This is not a slight. I don't mean this in some kind of asshole way. It's just like, now the audio is cutting. Oh God, they're not letting me. Now the audio is cutting off. Okay. How is it now? Is it still cutting off? I mean, at this rate, it's just like they're not gonna let me say it. They're not gonna let me say it. It's not gonna happen. Boss, what are you doing? Come on. All right, yeah. So let me know if we're good or not. Is it still doing it every other word? I mean, one person's saying that, but others are saying it's fine. Boss, stop. You gotta stay over here, boy. Come on, go. Stream is fine. They refuse to hear my criticisms. I'm sounding like Morse code. Hold on. I'm going to go check myself. Let's see. Leo says it's good for him. Let me see. Okay, I'm testing my own audio. This is weird. Guys, we're so close to the goal for the new mic, by the way. So I want to encourage that as well. We're chipping away at it. Come on, boss, you got hair in my. People are saying refresh. I don't know. We're having some problems. We're having some technical difficulties today, it seems. They don't make good enough games. That's what I was trying to say. That's it. That's all I was trying to say, man. Like, the games that Microsoft has made are just simply not good enough. They're not. It's not enough, man. Quantity isn't going to fix that. It's a quality problem. And, you know, I understand people point out certain games that got good reviews, like Forza and whatnot, but it's just, you know, Microsoft is cursed, bro. Even when they buy something like Starfield, and that's supposed to be like a 93 on Metacritic banger, generation defining game. It's just like, it's okay. They're cursed. That's all I was going to say. Phil's number one job to fix Xbox during the Xbox One era was to start producing better quality games, consistently. And they just didn't do it. And now that they have multiple publishers, even still, like, I still don't think I don't think that they've solved the core problem. Not quite yet. Anyway, we got a few other smaller things here. Think it's too late, Jimmy? It might be too late. It might be too late, bro. I can agree with that, Smurf. Xbox One had decent games at launch. And, there were a couple of maybe okay ones later in the gen, but Sony just smoked them, bro. And I say that as somebody who was watching it happen. I'm like, on the other side, I'm like, it's like that Rocky meme, like, throw in the damn towel. All right, well, I think we're good now. Hopefully. We should be good now. They have the money to make the biggest and best games ever, but then they spend $500 million on Halo Infinite that lacked content at launch. Yeah, I mean, I don't. I think that's the thing, man. Is it? I think Sony and Nintendo and Valve have all proven that, like, it takes more than just money. Like, money is good, and you need it. You need the capital to make these things happen to begin with. But there's a little bit more that goes to it. There's some kind of expertise, some kind of talent that it's, money sometimes can buy, but not all the time. No losses on the console. Omen, you're saying you're still working on those hordes. Almost there. Death Stranding 2 is on the side, waiting. Discipline. Omen is... he's implementing incredible discipline right now. We're witnessing incredible discipline on display. I mean, I'm laughing, but that's kind of true. I'm not giving up on Days Gone, man. I'm gonna see it through. I'm gonna try. Usually when I commit to getting all the trophies of a game, like if I'm really serious about it, I will do it, no matter how long it takes. But I have made the decision that I'm gonna play Days Gone and Death Stranding side by side. I did say earlier though, and I still am feeling this way, that I'm probably going to spend more time on Death Stranding 2 than Days Gone, and just chip away at Days Gone over time. You can't believe you restarted DS1 last night. The FOMO is real. Joshua Reese, a member for 15 months, says, MBG, I watched a band called A Day to Remember in the UK last night. Do you know them? Also, when are we getting a drum cover? I've heard of that band, actually, A Day to Remember. I can't say I've ever really listened to them, nor do I know any of their songs off the top of my head, but I've certainly heard of the band. They were really popular in like their early or mid 2000s, right? I feel like that's a band that I remember hearing about in middle school around that time. I don't know if I'll ever do a drum. I mean, truthfully, the only way I would be able to do an actual drum cover on YouTube for you guys is I would need a new drum set. I cannot believe the one I have functions at all. It's a cheaper electric kit, and I would like to get real drums again. It's been years since I've had a real acoustic kit, but at some point, I mean, I got work I got to do in my basement. Not the mold. I don't think there's any mold. But there's definitely work that's still got to be done in the basement. God, there's work that's got to be done all around my home that I'm just like, one day I'll get around to it. But yeah, I would need a new kit, bro, cuz like the one I have now, it's comical Like it looks so ghetto, dude. I can still play it, you know? I can still play it, but I would be kind of embarrassed to do any kind of cover, especially like public facing. 1,000 memberships, maybe. Mold victim. Oh man, mold denial. Here we go. Here we go. I got Gaming Survivor started. I mean, eventually I'll have to do a drum kit, direct dono goal, or just dono goal in general. But it's been years since I played an acoustic kit, man, and I miss it. I miss it a lot. I love playing the drums though, dude. We'll get there. Maybe I like to think one day we'll get there. But fun fact, it's not a fact, but I don't know why I said that. It's not a fact, nor is it fun. What am I even talking about? I'll tell you that yesterday I went into my garage. Man, that garage needs to be cleaned out. It's real bad. It's real bad. Just mice. Like I have in the back of my garage, there's like these like wooden shelves. Just mice sitting there chilling. Like it was like a mice. I guess it was like a little family, a little mouse family. And I don't know if it was like the mom or dad, but it was just sitting there staring at me. And their little baby mouse was just like walking around it. And I'm like, what's up? Stay away from my house. I got 3 cats. So it's, yeah, I mean, I don't mind seeing the mice because I don't really have a problem with mice. Like as long as they're not in my house, I don't care. So if they want to, if they want to chill in my garage, that's cool. Like it makes me feel good. Like, oh, it's, it's a little home for them. But then I start to get nervous. Like what else could be in there? Like what else could be lurking in that garage? Because I have so much shit in this garage. It needs to be totally cleaned out. So much of my garage has been used for storage over the years that there's shit that my father-in-law put in there. I don't even know what it is. It's like this giant furnace back there, this black furnace. I'm like, what even is that? Where did that come from? What's living in that? So, you've already sacrificed the yard, basement, now the garage. You got to make a stand, bro. It feels like that. It feels like that. I try to make a stand and it doesn't go well. Every time I try to make a stand, bro. To be clear though, my garage has not always been that bad. Actually my garage was maintained pretty well because I had a friend that I would let him kind of store his car in there for the winter or whatever, and as payment he would just clean my garage for me. And that worked really great. And ever since that stopped, I realized like, man, now I got to do this. And it kind of went to shit. I have trouble upkeeping certain things, man. I got to get better at that. I really do. You got Mold and Stuart little cousins. Titus with a super chat comes in and says, "Hey, MBG, did you get my direct donation at the beginning of the stream? I needed to go afterwards." You know what? Titus, let me double check. I know I didn't read it. So it either didn't go through or it's more likely I didn't get the notification or I didn't hear it. Let me double check. Oh, there, Titus, I'm so sorry, man. I apologize, bro. God, I don't know why I miss that sometimes. But I'm glad you reminded me. I would have felt really bad if I didn't read it during the stream. Titus with a $10 direct donation says, "Hey, MBG, I can't stay for the stream, but I hope you and all in the chat are fine. Have fun, guys. P.S. I hope Boss will get his treats." Well, Boss got a few treats. He got just a few as a little appetizer. So I'd be happy to know that. I'm trying to encourage these guys to get us to 25 members so we can give them the full batch of treats, the full serving. I still think we're going to do it. I mean, we're almost at the 3-hour mark, but I believe in you guys. But Titus, thank you so much for not only the direct donation, but your super chat letting me know that you dropped a direct donation. I apologize once again for being late to it, man. Those of you who still donate directly, I got to give you guys a shout out for dealing with my shit of just being absolutely horrible at keeping up with reading the direct donations. And sometimes just keeping you guys waiting for like an hour or longer. So shout out to you guys for still supporting with the direct donos. Oh God, come on, boss. Chill. We're not at 25 yet, bro. I know. I know it's difficult for you. We're not there. We're gonna get there. I believe. I believe in this community. We can do it. Don't. You can't come over here. You can't. Don't start biting my controllers. What are you doing? He's misbehaving. Hi, MBG. What studio is shutting down by Microsoft? In my opinion, it can't be Playground Games and Coalition Studio. I hate to say it, but I think Ninja Theory might be at risk. God, I don't know, man. Turn 10 is apparently at risk. I think Compulsion Games might be at risk. Hey, hey. You know what killed that raccoon in MBG's yard? It was the NY cat size, the New York cat sized rats from his garage. Dude, that was crazy, man. It was actually quite scary to see that. This raccoon was massive and it was just dead in my yard. It was like really close. It was really close to my garage too. And it seemed like it was not too far away from my trash bins. And it was all like rainy out. So I don't know if it got struck by lightning. I think that like it could have got struck by lightning, dude. Because I was looking at it. I'm like, there's no obvious wounds. Like, it's not like it was attacked or anything. It was just dead. It was the weirdest. Like, I was so freaked out. I'm like, what the hell? It was close to the It's crazy, man. Home ownership is more difficult than I ever thought it would be. Let me tell you. At least for me, man. I'm like, wait, I got all these different areas I got to maintain consistently. What? I got to worry about mice. I got to worry about mold. I got to worry about flooding. I got to worry about dead raccoons in my backyard. I got to worry about all this crap, man. Nothing will beat that time that I found a possum in my trash bin that was playing dead. And I didn't know how to react. I accidentally threw a trash bag on it. I told you guys that story, right? There was like oh god, okay. End the stream. What the fuck is happening, man? Are we good? Am I buffering? What's going on? This is cursed. This is becoming a cursed stream, dude. You think it probably died from rabies? It just feels like such a random spot for it to just suddenly die of rabies. You know? You're saying I'm good? I mean, it's weird because like it's telling me that it's not looking good. Rats are chewing on the internet wires. Oh god. Here we go. Let me double check again. Boss, okay. Don't flash everybody, bro. All right, I think we're he flashed you guys anyway. And Titus comes in. Titus comes in with the 10 membership gifts. Thank God, because Boss is getting on my last nerve, bro. Finally.
Hey guys, it's Boss here again, Meow. I can't wait for the next stream, Meow, so we can hang out and eat snacks together. It's gonna be a good time. Meow.
Titus, bro, huge shout out to you for dropping the 10 bomb. The 10 member gifts, getting us Okay, so I'm talking to you through my my camera here, which is probably god awful quality. Bro, the mic is broken. It's done. I don't know what's happening right now. Is my PC like overheating or something? I don't understand what's going on. Like, my mic just died. I'm glad you're enjoying this, Omen. My mic just straight up died. Either that or maybe I gotta see if I can find a new wire. But, after all the issues with... I don't know what's going on. This stream's fucked, bro. Like, the stream's been having issues. Now the mic's just... Microsoft, what are you doing to me? What are they doing to me? How bad is the audio quality, by the way? I mean, I know I have a spare cable. I think I have to go rummaging for it. I don't have one just like on hand because this is a premium cable I have. I mean, it's a USB micro cable, but it's a premium braided wire. And I'm thinking it might be the actual microphone, dude. Sounds like I'm talking through a Dixie cup. God damn. Well, we're gonna need that last donation for the new mic, bro. 6 out of 10 headphones. I mean, I got my Pulse Elites here, but I never set them up on PC. Psst. Hey. Try a new wire. Alright, hold on. I'm gonna see if there's one in the closet right over here. It says, damn, it's the mice, bro. In the meantime, just enjoy the chair. Nah, I think we're cooked, man. I think we're cooked. I got a different wire, and I think the mic's just fucked. And this sucks, because I don't even have a backup, bro. Oh my god. I didn't think it was just gonna break. Like, I knew we needed a new mic soon, but... You can hear my brain working? Do you see smoke coming out of my ears, bro? Is that a connect? I don't know what to do now, man. You know what? You know what? Hold on. No, that's not gonna work. Use tape to hold the wire. Uh, I mean, you know, maybe that could work. Hold on. Let me mess with it a little bit more. Oh wait, hold on. Hold on. It might be working now. Uh yeah, so I think I might need to do that. I might need to like either I have to hold it this way. I have to put pressure on the wire. Maybe I gotta tape it. I need some WD 40. But WD 40 and duct tape. You know, I was thinking like I'm gonna go get my WD 40 and bring it in, but that's just dangerous. You know, the WD 40 it is chemicals. You're saying I could just build a new mic using duct tape? All right, well, let me I got like really shiny duct tape. Let me go grab it and we'll see if we can make this work. All right? It's going to be weird for a minute. We'll do it. Hmm. That looks so bad, bro. Oh man. Don't you just love how I had tape ready to go right under my desk? You never know. Can this work though? I'm like I don't know. Like I'll order a new mic, but it'll probably take a little bit to get here, you know? I'm gonna need to make this work. And the stream fucking dude, what the fuck is happening to my stream? Are we good? Am I it said I just lost connection. What is happening, bro? Who is EMPing my home right now? I'm getting all these notifications that I never get from YouTube. God damn. Think I'm gonna need some stronger tape. My PC is overheating. You know, I will tell you, I haven't heard the fan turn on, which is weird because it's pretty hot in here. Uh-oh. Yo, let me find out like everything's breaking at one time. Is that good? It says CPU's only at 20%, memory 30, GPU 58%, power usage. Huh. Wait. There it is. Okay, I'm hearing the fan now. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. This is a really weird stream. I don't need more RAM, bro. I got 64 gigs of RAM. I got way too much RAM. I went crazy with the RAM. I went overkill. Now I'm afraid to move the mic. Well, guys, listen. Clearly I'm going to have to buy a new microphone, but the last time I checked, the microphone I was going to get, it's going to take at least like a week to get here, bro. So, fuck. I don't know. It was a joke. I know, MBG. That's why I said it. Well, how the hell was I supposed to know, bro? How am I supposed to know that you know how much RAM I have, Ray? No, I'm just kidding. Actually, I think I mentioned it numerous times. I think that was the running joke before, though, that I needed more RAM, and then I got way too much RAM. On this episode of MacGyver Bound Gaming, we're going to build an Xbox Series S out of a broken mic. So guys, I actually have I have to tell you a little secret. I did order the mic already because I was actually getting very nervous that this one was going to go soon. We didn't hit the goal, but I was like, you know what? I got to pull the trigger anyway. The problem is it's not getting here, I think, till like the first week of July. I don't know why it's taking so long. But I got the Shure SM7B. I have no idea how to set it up. I was looking into it. Apparently, it's very different. You're using like an XLR cable. I'm sure I'll figure it out. If not, then screw it. I'll have to use the webcam mic. But yeah, I'm gonna have to try. I need this to hold out. I don't know why it's taking a week, bro. I'm gonna have to look into that, see if like something's going on with the shipping or whatever. But I discovered that when it comes to buying the Shure SM7B or whatever, you need a I forget what it's called. You need a I don't know what it's called, like an audio box or some shit. Or I don't know what you call it. I don't know if it's a preamp, mix it, or like, yeah, mixing board. Dude, listen, believe it or not, this microphone is just connected to my PC. I know, shocking, right? Shocking that it sounds as good as it does. It's not like a super fancy mic. I just use some software that helps make it sound a lot better. You got me, Michael? You got me? A preamp. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, and that's like new to me. I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't realize it was that. I didn't know it was all that. I thought it was just like you buy the microphone and you plug it in your computer. But I guess it makes sense if it's going to be, if it's going to be that high quality. Yeah, this is just a USB mic. So I have to admit, though, it served me well. I'm sad to see it go out like this, but I did say I would only upgrade my mic. I said I would only upgrade my mic when this one finally went, and it's finally going. Like, now I have to tape this shit to make it work. So, certainly got my money's worth. I have to admit, though, I'm excited. I am excited for the for the new one. I'm really hoping you guys can hear the difference, because shit's expensive, bro. Like, it's like shockingly expensive. I've never paid that much for a piece of audio equipment in my life. But today we have no sound. We're going to let the games do the talking. Stop ruining your mics with cat fur, bro. How funny would it be if that's actually what broke it? I mean, how funny would it be? It's like there's just all this cat hair like stuck inside of it somewhere. I mean, all in all, I think it probably comes close to like $600 or something. 600, 650, somewhere around there. It's great, yeah. I mean, it's as expensive as a freaking PS5 Pro. Yeah. I know that. This is why I was like hesitant. And Michael Wernick, bro. Sorry I'm late to it. I saw the notification pop up on the side screen there. Michael Wernick says, I got you, bro, and drops $120 for the mic. He did it. Michael, thank you so much, bro. You're a real one. Michael's always coming in clutch. He's here. He's like the superhero of the channel. We got like the Justice League of the channel here, bro. Anytime we're in need of something. Yo, we need memberships, 50 bomb. You need a microphone, mass donation. Seriously, that's awesome, though. Michael Wernick, thank you for coming in clutch, man.
Holy shit.
That's some good shit. So I definitely can, we'll be able to use that. I needed that. I was like, man, I gotta pull the trigger. I gotta pull the trigger on this mic. I'm really glad my intuition told me to just pull the trigger on it, though, because I was worried that this was gonna go. I didn't think it would literally be the next day. So I guess that confirms it. I made the right choice. That's why my last name is Oxbig. You spend a lot for the JBLs in your car? Yeah, Miguel, those are some good brands too, certainly. I had to pull the trigger on the Shure just because, I mean, I don't know if it's like, I don't think it's overrated, but that's what everybody swears by. Like, that is like the go-to, like, gold standard. So I'm going to find out. I'll have to double check on the shipping, and we'll see. I'll update you guys. I just, my only hope is that this ghetto taped mic now, I hope it can get us through for the next couple days. Keep it going. Keep it going. And Zombie Dragon comes in and drops another 5 memberships on you guys. Zombie Dragon coming out of nowhere, keeping the member train rolling today. It's been a crazy stream. And he brings us up to 32 members on the day. Zombie Dragon, thank you so much for that, man. And I'm gonna update this too. We did it. Oops. We did it, bro. Now I'm kind of excited. I'm excited for this mic. The only thing I don't know when it comes to setting up this new microphone, if there's any software I have to use with it, like I'm a little bit confused about that because I have this built-in software for it's the Blue Sherpa or whatever, and I use that, but I don't. Beast Mode, you're saying no. I could download one, but it's not needed. Yeah, I guess I'll mess around with it. I should have ordered a Sony mic. Does Sony even make mics? I know they make cameras. Yeah, I don't know. You would think Sony makes premium mics, right? And Zombie Dragon comes in and drops another membership gift on you guys. He's dropping another single. Zombie Dragon he's doing it, man. He's trying to keep the train rolling. He's like, I want to get to 50, man. Thank you, Zombie Dragon. You know I appreciate it, bro. And he's keeping it going. He's got another single. He's just dropping them on you. He drops another single gift, bringing us to 34. Is he going to end it there? Is he going to try to get us to 35? Is he trying to set up a 15 bomb? Is that even a thing? A 15 bomb, bro. Sony makes everything? Well, I would assume the mics... Sony probably makes, like, professional boom mics that you use for filming movies and TV and shit. Yeah, that's what I'll use. Actually, that would be kind of sick. And he does it. He drops another single membership gift, bringing us to 35. Beast Mode, you're saying, sure, SM7B with the Wave XLR is my combination. I think I bought the Scarlet or something. At least that's what I saw that was recommended. So I don't know if that's good or not. I'll find out. I hope I bought the right shit, bro. Like, I'm not like an audiophile or anything. You would think I know more about this considering how much I stream, but audio is not something that I yeah, it's the red one. Yeah, hopefully it's simple to set up, and I got a boom arm with it, obviously. So this thing. I mean, honestly, it's kind of wild how long I've been rocking this. I mean, it's. I don't want to say it's amateur, but it's mid level. It's certainly not common, and I'm kind of impressed. I got to say, I'm kind of impressed with how long this mic has lasted, and it served me so. Like me and this mic, we've been through so much, bro. The amount of saliva that has probably been spit onto this mic with me ranting and screaming about Microsoft. You think the audio is about to be night and day? Beast Mode getting hype. He's getting hype over here. Zombie Dragon, thank you again for the membership gifts, man. That brings us to 35. And we'll just keep it going here for a little bit longer, because what I would like to do is when I do end the stream, I plan to do another one later on. So we can stream the Capcom event. So it's gonna be a little strange because they're not streaming their event till 6:00, and I don't know that I could justify sitting here. I mean, I could. I know that some of you guys would hang out with me, but I mean, for another 2.5 hours just waiting for it, take a little food break or whatever. I'm gonna look good and sound good. Ray's excited too. Oh, okay. You have me in the headphones all day at work, so it's good to know that audio is going to sound crispy. Yeah, I mean, sometimes I forget that some people listen with headphones, and I mean, yeah, it's a big difference between listening on your phone or the TV or whatever versus headphones. I mean, when you're listening to headphones, I think the audio quality matters a lot more when you're listening to headphones or on headphones, because you just hear so much more, the good and the bad. Can't wait for the ASMR streams. Come here, Leia. Come on. You never got your treats. Come on. Watch the wire. Watch the wire. Oh, God. All right, it's Leia's turn now. She's ready. All right. I mean, prior to all this happening, I don't even know what we were talking about, man. I'll be honest. I forgot what we were talking about. MBG, how are you today? How's your week been so far? Have you seen the new gameplay clip IGN put up on the T2 game coming out in September? I didn't see the gameplay clip, no, but that game does look pretty fun. I'm probably gonna pick that up. I'm doing okay. We've been having some interesting technical difficulties with the stream today. Some really bizarre things going on with it. And my microphone, even though I'm using it right now, it's pretty much on its last leg. Hold on, let me check something real quick. All right, so yeah, I went to go double check. July 3rd. God, that's straight up 7 days from now. I need this mic to let. I don't know why that's feel like that's so long. I don't know why it's going to take that long, but apparently everything's not arriving till July 3rd. So, 7 days. Can this mic last 7 more days? Sony ECM S1. Oh, let me look this up. Oh shit. They do, that they do make a microphone. I don't know why I said it like that. It's $418. A wireless streaming microphone. Oh shit, it's wireless. Huh. That's actually really interesting. I mean, I think it's a little okay. Well, you know what? If when the Shure when the Shure comes in, if for some reason that doesn't work out, I guess yeah, I'll buy that Sony mic, bro. That's crazy. I didn't know Sony actually made a streaming mic. I wonder how it is. Like, I wonder how it stacks up. The reviews seem pretty good. Fantastic, amazing microphone. It's pretty cool that it's wireless. I feel like that's not common. But I feel like if it's wireless though, there has to be some level of like latency or something, right? Or if not latency, like there's no way the audio quality can be as high as using a microphone that uses an XLR connection. Right? There's just no way. But that's cool. I didn't even know. I had no idea Sony even made stuff like that. Like that, it's weird because like when I think of Sony making things like maybe outside of TVs, they make some of the most random stuff that you would just never know. Like there's just like a Sony product for almost everything, but some of it's just kind of obscure. You would think I would know about it, but Omen's on that shit, bro. He's like, I got you covered, man. I know all the Sony products. Oh yeah, I didn't think about that. Yeah, I would have to keep a charge. Maybe that was the angle they were going for. Like, we'll do something different. It'll be wireless. Omen's like, we're talking Sony here. Their tech doesn't do half measures. I mean, there is like the Sony tax, right? I know that that's kind of a popular term or somewhat popular term where you do always have to pay a little bit more for Sony stuff, but usually it's because the quality is genuinely higher. I don't know if that's, I mean, realistically, I don't know if that's applicable to every single thing they do, but generally speaking, I know with TVs that's absolutely true. No. Still? As for everything. Yeah. Yeah. So apparently some of the other stuff for my mic is coming sooner. I think like the preamp and whatnot, but the actual microphone itself is not going to be here till the 3rd. So, damn, dude. When pushing polygons, you're saying when you were getting the video stuff, you were looking at a PXW Z280, which is a Sony video camera, which shoots 4K and does HDR in HLG format. What's HLG format? Never heard of that. Sounds fancy. PXW Z280. Let me see. Oh my god. Holy shit, that's like professional grade. The first one that popped up is $7,000. Holy shit. That's no joke. Bro's making movies. You bought a Samsung OLED that broke in 3 days? Jeez. You're checking your shipping notification like that meme for DS2 package. I definitely want to get some game time in for Death Stranding 2 today. Absolutely. Yeah, I don't know, man. A $7,000 camera. I don't think I would even know what to do with that. I don't know that I would want to come in. I don't know that I would want to have an image quality of myself that's that high. HLG is a free license HDR format similar to HDR10 and Dolby Vision. Oh, okay. Do you think that's what makes it so expensive? I mean, I feel like this is the type of camera you would buy if you're, trying to do some professional level filming, maybe. Where are we at here? Okay, so we're a little past the 3.5 hour mark. I'm thinking maybe this will be a good place to maybe wrap up the stream. I will be back later, though. Reminder. So if you want to come hang out with me, again, we're going to be streaming the Capcom event. Let me double check and make sure that that's actually going to be at 6 p.m. Why can't I find it? There are like multiple streams already live, like IGN's already live. Capcom USA. Is it like not up yet? I don't understand. I can't find it anywhere. Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to find this actual stream for Capcom. It took me to the actual. What the? I guess it's not up yet. I guess they didn't put the stream up yet. But it says here it'll happen at 3 p.m. PT. For me, that's 6 o'clock. It'll be a 40-minute show. Pragmata's going to be there, and Resident Evil Requiem, as well as Monster Hunter Wilds and Street Fighter 6. So, yeah, I definitely want to tune into this. I guess they just didn't put the stream up yet, but yeah, 6 o'clock. So, guys, this is going to be a good place to end it. I apologize for the weird, although I know you guys probably had a good time watching it, but I apologize for the weird technical issues we were having. A lot of different things going wrong at one time. We'll have to just do the best we can with this mic until July 3rd. So hopefully it'll survive until then. But yeah, uh, we are coming back today around 6 o'clock. I'll probably go live maybe like 20 minutes before, maybe like 5:30, 5:40 around that time. So we'll hang out for like 15 or 20 minutes before the show starts because the show is going to be 40 minutes. And then obviously we'll talk a little bit about what we saw. And yeah, so guys, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Press X Podcast. It's been a wild one. I want to give a massive shout out to this very generous community for always coming in clutch. We are finishing at 35 members on the day. So not only did we crush the goal of 25, but we ended up taking it even further. And thank you for all the super chats, any direct donations. Shout out to Michael Werneth with a big direct donation so we can, fund the channel and get that mic. And yeah, that's pretty much going to wrap it up. I want to give a shout out to Devil Shooter as well, who does the timestamps for the streams. So if you guys see him in the comments, give him some love, show him some thanks. Sony Trinitron, legendary. Well, keep working on those hordes, Omen. Keep working on them, bro. I'll be trying to work my way through that permadeath mode soon enough. All right, guys, that does it. I will catch you later on. Until then, take care, everyone. Oh, wait. Hold on. Wait. I almost forgot. Got to end the poll. There we go. All right, now the results are out there. Okay, now take care, everyone.